Now,
Yes.
unfortunately, ATF will
Oh,
not get involved in the pursuit.
excuse me. Hey guys, what's up?
CHP has a policy.
Police
Once
chase.
they've taken over pursuit,
Allegedly a murder
they do not
suspect here
allow
in
any outside law
California.
enforcement, what they call local Leo, to
Welcome, guys. Hope you guys had a happy
get
Easter.
involved in this pursuit. So you'll not see a mixture. They do not do that. But you see that little bit of a pickup of speed, and then now another little lane change. You'll start seeing things like that as this pursuit continues on.
Right. And Tim, let me just interject by saying it's possible that the driver is realizing that he can make a choice, or the person can make a choice on whether to transition onto the 134. It seemed as if that they were thinking that way. That's why they wound up in the number 2 lane.
Happy
Now
Easter.
they're in the number 4 lane, which would presume to say that they will continue on the 101 going southbound as they make their way through Studio City, which means
The controllers are always missing in this house. Somehow there's 3 of them. 3 out of 4, all at my desk. Maybe I should just hold them captive here.
I was proven wrong again as the car is headed onto the 134 going eastbound. This is kind of a curvy transition, so it's best
Devil's
for the
Day.
driver to
I was actually getting ready to make a live
control.
tonight to talk about Trump.
It doesn't seem as
But we
if
can
the
do it
driver,
after.
other than the fact that they are wanted for attempted murder, they are not driving impaired. It doesn't feel that way, or it doesn't seem that way when you watch this vehicle. And they took that transition fairly easily. They're staying in their lanes fairly easily. So at least there's that as far as they're concerned. Okay, so now we're talking about the 134 as they are in the Studio City area, eventually will become the Burbank area as we watch this vehicle. And again, Tim, I mean, I'm just impressed, or I find remarkable that the driving is so consistent, and that the driver appears
excellent
to be
driving.
in complete
I'm
control.
just so impressed that they can drive on the road.
It's holding the lane very well. Speeds are well below the capability of that car. And it's just a matter of following him now and staying with the vehicle. Like I said, not pressing this driver to make them do anything hazardous that might involve other people on the road. Now, another thing we want to talk about is the other drivers on the road. You're in your car, you're driving someplace here on a Sunday, just continuing on, and all of a sudden you look behind you and you see probably 3 CHP cars coming with their lights on. If you're able to safely move to the right, go ahead and move to the right. But if you're out on the left side of the freeway, out in the HOV number 1 lane, the best bet is just hold your lane, hold your speed, let them pass you. Because once you start moving around, now our driver of this car may get confused and end up running into you. And also the units behind have
Happy
to weave
Easter,
through all
Mel.
those cars.
Peace
So
sign
the best
emoji.
bet is
Happy
maintain
Easter.
your lane, let the pursuit go by you. If you're on the right shoulder, the right lanes, and you have the ability
Hope you guys
to
had a
move to
good
the
day.
right without causing any
Peaceful
issues,
day.
then just slide over to the right. So, but this is going at
Praise
such
Allah.
a slow speed for California freeways. They're barely keeping up with
Right.
traffic and passing just at a very slow rate of speed. But the problem here is you're driving along, not really looking behind you, and then you happen to look up in the mirror and see 3 CHP cars coming up. You tend to get people really nervous.
Right. And Tim, let me ask you, there was a time in my long history of doing police pursuits where black and whites, they would flash their lights, but they didn't run their sirens. Is that still the case, or would you be able to hear police car coming up on you?
Well, the very fine line of the California Vehicle Code is they must have their lights and sirens on to have a failure to yield. So they will leave their sirens on during the pursuits of this type because it's complying with the California Vehicle Code. The driver can hear it up to about 65 miles an hour, and then after that, it gets to a point to where it diminishes. You start, as we teach, you start outrunning your sirens, where basically as the person hears your siren, you're already by them. So, but to comply with California Vehicle Code, they have to keep the siren on along with the red lights, and also a steady red light to the forward. Now you see the unit coming up from the right. That's going to be a handoff here. They're going to come out, they're going to drop in, and one of those units will drop out. And as we go along, they'll pick up more units as they work their way here east on the 134 coming into Glendale. So it's just a matter of time. They'll only have 3 units in this pursuit, two officer units and 1 supervisor who monitors the pursuit and gives direction as far as how long they stay in this. If it starts getting out of hand, he'll start making the call. He or she will start
Easter
making the call,
chase.
whether to back off and go into a trailing, or just go ahead and back off completely because they're driving so crazy. But in this case, we don't have that. We have it rolling along at 75, 77 miles an hour, and just going through these interchanges here very calmly and very under control. So it's just a matter of following until the driver decides to stop or runs out of gas or disables their vehicle in some way.
Tim, let's talk a little bit about the wants. Apparently, this is an attempted murder suspect. What does that do to the officer's psyche as they are chasing this suspect?
Adrenaline, excitement, and
well, it puts you at a level to where you know what you're chasing now. It's an attempt murder suspect, so their want to catch this person, take this person into custody, is heightened because they don't want to let them get away. So they're going to do what they can to stay with it.
Back to Mexico.
Now, on these pursuits, you never know what you're chasing. I mean, yeah, they have the information for the attempt murder, but possibly he or she did murder somebody, or it's something completely different and the information they got is wrong. But you always act in the exact same way for every pursuit because you never know what's in that car. You might be chasing them for speed only, or they ran a red light or a stop sign or expired registration. You don't know what's in that car until you get it stopped. So what you have to be at is at a scale of 1 to 10, you got to be at a 9, because it's a lot easier to come down than to go try to play catch up when some suspect bails out of the car and now you're under fire. So you start very high awareness of what's going on, do all your tactics and things of that sort. And then if it turns out to be something a little bit less, you can go ahead and back.
Driving very casually, though, huh?
You treat them all the same. I mean,
taking his time.
The extra luxury of having some information gives you a little more heightened awareness to what you're going to deal with when this comes to a stop.
Absolutely. We have a broader view now of what it looks like to be that black car, and it looks like there were 4 CHP or black and whites behind this suspect. We talk a lot about routes, and right now that driver is approaching the Interstate 2, so they can make a choice whether they want to get off of the 134 and travel on the 2, which would give them an option to go downtown and hit the Interstate 5. So we'll keep an eye on what this driver is doing right now. For those of you who know the Glendale area, they just passed Brand, which means that would have been your off-ramp to go to Americana at Brand. Now they're traveling along. Again, this is basically eastbound, even if, right here with the California 134, they do call it eastbound. The 101 gets tricky because they'll call something north and south, and it's really east and west. If you're in the San Fernando Valley. All right, so watching that black sedan, or I guess it's more like a crossover. If you're just joining us here on Fox Local, we're streaming this police pursuit for you, and we're showing that black vehicle as law enforcement are behind. CHP officers have been chasing this car. We picked up the chase in Calabasas. And that car made its way all the way across San Fernando Valley, the western San Fernando Valley area, and wound up here on the 134, traveling not an unusual speed, Tim, for this kind of traffic and for the 134 itself. So,
good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing good. Hope you had a good, happy Easter. If you celebrate it, if you don't celebrate it, hope you had a good day too. I kind of see it as a day to just like spend time with family, appreciate, I was setting up a live for something else, which is funny. And then this chase came up. I don't know if that's a sign, I don't know if that's a sign. So for some people it can be very religious though today, Christ. And for some people it could also just be a time to spend time together and all that stuff. Or for some people it could be hell, choosing war and hell. I don't know, But there's just supposed murder suspect, which is kind of interesting, I guess.
Happy Easter, Mel and Maddie. Hatching chick emoji, rabbit emoji, purple heart emoji, basket emoji.
I don't think they're probably gonna let this guy go. I'm assuming, I don't know with chases anymore. murder suspect might let him go, but a murder suspect. I'm gonna see if I can find out any more information, like who, what. I don't know if we know the who, but who is this person accused of murdering? Is it family? Is it a domestic situation? Is it random? And by the way, if you haven't seen last night, late night, apparently I forgot what state it was, New Hampshire, they found the shooter and killed him. They got into a shootout. Cops killed that guy, the guy that burned his family's house. So just an update on that. So I might still do the other stream though. It's about Trump because a lot of people were upset today about Trump's statements in regard. I found a bunch of clips. A lot of people really upset about Trump today. I thought it was kind of funny, but I didn't really think about the implications because people were stuck on that he cursed, but some people are like, well, it's not really a good thing to do on Easter, I guess, that he cursed. The Allah thing. I thought the Allah thing was funny, but I think the more important implication was the beginning part of his message where he's talking about Plant Day and something Bridge Day. I didn't really understand when I first read it, and then I understood after that. He's talking about targeting, I think, like electric plants and stuff like that would affect civilians. And so some people are upset. But Iran is like still not backing down. It's still not backing down. There was an account that said we lost the key, supposedly. I don't know. We'll talk about it, though. We might do a stream on that. Anyway, let's do this.
He's able to relay.
Who cares? The world cares, apparently.
Or they're talking directly.
You could stay in a little box.
That has happened a lot of people all the time. And while that negotiation goes
unless you're talking about like who cares that he cursed.
Travel like this.
Maybe you mean that.
Because there is no threat right now
to the
general public or the motoring public, they're not going to be aggressive. They're not going to go up and.
That's what I heard people saying, war crimes.
But they do have options along the way. They have places where they can use spike strips. And they will keep that in their back pocket as they go along, as they go across the bridge.
That's what people were talking about. I think that's the biggest part of the tweet, honestly.
Would a spike strip, though, be easier?
I don't think it was that he cursed. I don't think it was the praise Allah, which I laughed. I think it was the beginning part of the tweet that was actually the most kind of like, oh, shit.
I see.
The 5 freeway drops down to 2 lanes in certain spots.
Right.
And if the 210 doesn't, I tell you, the 210's a big freeway all the way to San Bernardino. So there wouldn't be an area here. But on a big freeway, it'd be almost impossible because they could drive around it. But on surface streets, it's even tougher because there's so many outs. There's so many directions they can go and places they can
pull up
be.
the other feeds.
Oh, we lost signal. We lost the signal. But if you're still watching us on
live,
the stream, just stay tuned. Don't go away because...
they all lost the feeds because... so I have a hotkey button that I literally hit one button. All the California feeds pop open at the same time. I think NBC was using the same thing as Fox. Let me see. ABC 7's live.
The pursuit.
ABC. Okay, we have two
Sheriff's
ABC
Office
7.
They aren't sure whether the California Highway Patrol got the information that this was connected to a possible attempted murder. California Highway Patrol maintains that this is a possible attempted murder. We're trying to work out that miscommunication there and figure out exactly what is going on. But because California Highway Patrol believes that this is connected to a possible attempted murder, I imagine that's how they are treating this situation, correct?
That's correct. They're treating it at the highest level of officer safety that they can, meaning they believe they have a possible attempt murder suspect in the vehicle who is possibly armed, and they will treat that as information garnered at the end of the pursuit to do a felony traffic stop on the vehicle.
And we're in the mid-central area right now on 210 East. It looks to me when Air 7 just pulled out and gave us a wider picture there as though more CHP vehicles have joined this pursuit. Is that the case?
It does seem that definitely more CHP vehicles have joined. They may be transitioning from one station to another, and until those newer vehicles or the new unit station are in place, that they won't hand off yet.
Yeah, I've counted at least 8. It looks like that number continues to grow. We are no longer in Pasadena. The vehicle has passed Pasadena, now in the passing Sierra Madre Boulevard, I believe approaching the Monrovia area. Again, this is the 210 East. So far, we've seen this vehicle go from Ventura County 101 South, then change to the 134 East, and now on the 210 freeway heading into the San Gabriel Valley. And we know that at this this point, CHP maintains attempted murder suspect. There's some questions surrounding that. Our newsroom working to get clarification on that. But again, the Ventura County Sheriff says this started as a traffic violation. And then once the vehicle got onto the freeway, that is when the CHP took over. We've seen varying speeds, but as Liz pointed out, seems like mainly in the 60, 70 mile per hour range, not too much beyond that. And so far, this vehicle has not hit any heavy traffic. Most of the vehicles that are on the freeways have moved over to the side. So that's at least some good news. We're getting a pretty good look right now at the front seat, passenger seat. Does not appear to be a passenger in that front seat, but there are quite a few belongings. At one point, we actually saw that.
Look how casual this person is, too.
Like, it was rolled back
this is crazy.
So we don't know how many people are in this vehicle. We can only clearly see one, the driver there in that orange T-shirt, as we try and get more information on how exactly this originated and why CHP is approaching this in this particular fashion.
And I noticed the driver there, at least in this video, appears to have
just
two
chilling
hands on the wheel. You know, sort of 10 and 2 grip there, Bruce. I'm wondering, with this sort of miscommunication that may be involved here, Ventura Sheriff's Department said that this evolved from a traffic stop. The CHP says this is a possible attempted murder. Is it possible that once CHP picked up this pursuit on the freeway, that they were able to run the person's plates or get some more information that perhaps Ventura Sheriff's Office didn't have?
Yeah, that's all a possibility. I mean, you have two ends of the spectrum. You have traffic violations to attempt murder. You go from 0 to 10, so to speak. So somewhere there's a miscommunication.
We begin at 7:30.
Or what is the true story?
Or perhaps there was just some more information that became available. I know law enforcement often uses those license plate readers. Is that something that would have been actively used as soon as CHP picked up this pursuit?
It might have been, or CHP just ran the vehicle when they heard that Ventura County sheriffs were in pursuit, if they even were in pursuit in the beginning. And then once he or she jumped on the freeway, then CHP took it over, ran the license plate, and maybe the license plate came back to an attempt murder suspect, in addition to the traffic violations that Ventura County SO wanted.
Right. So often we're following these pursuits, and they are stolen vehicles that are involved. We've not gotten any information about the vehicle that may be involved here. What we know about it is simply what we can see. That it is a black Subaru SUV, that it appears to have at least one person inside, just the driver. We don't know any more information than that. But we are now deep into the upper San Gabriel Valley at this point. This began as a pursuit somewhere in Ventura County, began with the Ventura Sheriff's Office, picked up by the CHP. That person has driven all the way from Ventura County through the 101 southbound, through Encino, all the way through the San Fernando Valley, here through Burbank, Glendale, and now into the San Gabriel Valley.
And just within the last 15 minutes, Liz, the communities that this vehicle has gone through: Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Duarte, Azusa, appears to be around the Azusa-Glendora area right now in the upper San Gabriel Valley. And we are really not seeing too many vehicles on the freeway, which of course is a good sign, 67 miles per hour right now. Bruce, can you tell us again the distance in which 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 8 CHP vehicles? Talk about why CHP doesn't get too close to the car when they're in pursuit on a freeway, and what their strategy is. We know that distance is very intentional.
Sure. You want to keep a safe distance in the pursuit so that you can react in a positive manner to something that the suspect vehicle may do. They are going to stay back. You may see them come a little closer and then back off, just to remind the suspect, hey, we're still here. We're not going anywhere. Not to put pressure on them, but just to put that little reminder in the back of their head.
And again, we are just watching this person generally varying their speeds only by about 5 miles per hour. So, and in some respects, going slower than the speed limit would be on the 210 eastbound freeway, which this person has been driving on for several miles now.
And staying in the middle of the freeway.
This person is not changing lanes, not causing danger to any other vehicle. So it seems as though this vehicle is either intent on getting somewhere specific, Bruce, or perhaps just running out the clock, perhaps, on law enforcement. Is that something that these drivers sometimes do?
Possibly. I mean, starting in Ventura County, this suspect vehicle has had numerous opportunities to change freeways, get off the freeway, and to go into residential or business areas, and they haven't. They have pretty much stayed in the number 2 lane of the freeway at a very monitoring speed that's safe, and the freeway conditions are fairly light. So CHP is very content just to stay behind the vehicle and follow them.
Maybe that's some good news that it is a holiday and we have not seen any point where the Subaru has had to slow down, hit any sort of traffic, or even had any other vehicles really in its lane. It does appear that there is a car in the middle lane that it's approaching right now. You see another CHP vehicle on the side of the road there changing lanes, but for now the vehicle staying on the 210 East. Again, we're following this pursuit in the upper San Gabriel Valley right now. That CHP vehicle about as close as we've seen, Liz, right now to the Subaru.
So, Bruce, what might be going on here? Because it does appear that the CHP vehicle is gaining speed and sort of closing the distance in on this SUV. Why is this happening right now?
They just might, because the Subaru has sped up, so they're speeding up just to stay at a decent distance with them. It looks like there may have been a handoff between CHP stations as they transverse further east. You know, people will say, well, can't they use a spike strip or a pit maneuver? The speeds are just too great on this, and the freeway would have to be fairly vacant.
I've seen them do a high-speed maneuver in
Ideally,
Florida.
a freeway like this with multiple lanes is a good place to do it, but the speeds are just too high.
And because you mentioned that CHP is treating this as a possible attempted murder suspect, this is not something that you're saying they are likely to give up on easily. This is not something that they're just going to let this go. They intend to follow this person as long as possible.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's correct. And the reason you see so many vehicles, CHP vehicles in the pursuit, is because they have a possible attempt murder suspect, which is a high-grade felony. So they're going to need multiple manpower to conduct a traffic break and to take the suspect into custody during a felony traffic stop.
Bruce, I have another question. As we've been following this for nearly half an hour now, CHP vehicles here have to be sort of trying to anticipate what this driver's next maneuver could be. Do they do something erratic? I'm wondering, do CHP vehicles perhaps start lining the freeway or closing off an exit if they anticipate this person might be getting off somewhere? What's their maneuver strategy here?
Yeah, typically they won't do that to isolate the vehicle. They're very content with the vehicle staying in the number 2 lane of the freeway heading eastbound. They are just going to continue to monitor the vehicle and just stay behind it and do handoffs between stations in order to keep fresh eyes on the vehicle.
Yeah, and so we're seeing passing Mount Olive Drive, which is near the 210 and 605. I had mentioned all those communities that this vehicle on the 210 East had gone through after Pasadena, of course, Sierra Madre, Monrovia, Duarte. Now it appears that the vehicle, still in the East San Gabriel Valley, has passed Bradbury, the Azusa area, and passing the exit at Irwindale Avenue. Just to recap, as we approach 6:30 here, we have had this pursuit on the air for, as Liz said, almost 30 minutes. It originated in Ventura County. Once the vehicle got onto the 101 Freeway South, that is when CHP took over. We started our coverage when the vehicle was in Encino, that vehicle traveling from Encino to Sherman Oaks to Studio City, then changing freeways from the 101 South to the 134 East, and now on the 210 freeway east, heading towards the Inland Empire. We, of course, do not know where this driver is headed. We don't know how many people are in the vehicle. Right now, we've just seen one driver, some belongings in the front seat. There was a period where this driver did roll down the window of that front passenger side, but then rolled that window up. Speeds have varied between 60 and 70 miles per hour. Luckily, the freeways have not been crowded on this Easter Sunday, but the CHP, we've spotted about 10 vehicles trailing this black Subaru. CHP maintaining that this is a possible attempted murder suspect.
Right, and you see there on your screen, if you're just joining us, that this is a possible attempted murder pursuit. There seems to be a bit of confusion right now that our assignment desk is trying to sort out. We're trying to ask questions of various law enforcement departments that are involved in this. As Josh mentioned, this began up in Ventura County. The Ventura Sheriff's Department tells us that this started as a traffic violation, a traffic stop. Once this person did not comply with that traffic stop and got on the freeway, that was when the California Highway Patrol took over. Now, the California Highway Patrol says they are treating this as though it's a possible attempted murder suspect inside the vehicle. The Ventura Sheriff's Office says they're not sure where they got that information, but Bruce Thomas, our law enforcement expert who's been watching this pursuit with us for a better part of a half hour now, says regardless of what exactly is going on here, CHP is treating this as though this is the most dangerous possible situation for people involved. Right, Bruce?
That's correct. I mean, we just don't, in this pursuit, we just don't see the urgency that we've seen in other pursuits of stolen vehicles.
And one thing
is just kind of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to point out that there's an LA County Sheriff's Deputy vehicle to the left of the Subaru that's kind of been tailing the vehicle along with the CHP car. Yeah, we're highlighting it right now.
Would be in for a pit.
It appears to just be assisting, but at times it was actually traveling faster than the CHP car. I don't know exactly what the role is of that vehicle. Can you give any insight? Obviously, the LA County Sheriff's Department is involved in pursuits all the time, just like California Highway Patrol, Bruce.
Correct. I don't know what the LASO vehicle is doing. It can be that the vehicle could be responding to a Code 3 emergency call that just so happens to be paralleling this whole pursuit. Typically, they're not going to get involved unless they're invited or asked under mutual aid. And being on the freeway, I don't think CHP is going to do that. So I think it's kind of an uninvolved emergency call at this point.
And not surprising at this point, because this person has been traveling inside this vehicle for, gosh, it's got to be better than 50 miles at this point. I mean, this began up in Ventura County probably roughly an hour ago. We've been following it for a good 30 minutes. And if this person has a destination in mind, it does not appear as though they've given any indication of what that may be. I mean, this person has not been driving erratically. They've been roughly driving the speed limit or less than the speed limit for the entire time that they have been on the 101 or the 210. We haven't seen speeds greater than 90 miles per hour and really hasn't come into contact with any other vehicles.
And again, you're watching Eyewitness News at 6:30. This is Josh Haskell with Liz Nagy. We're joined by our law enforcement expert, Bruce Thomas. Bruce, I do want to ask you, as you had pointed out earlier, there's been a number of opportunities for the Subaru to change freeways. They've only changed freeways a limited number of times. We've passed the 405 interchange, stayed on the 101. We've passed the 5 freeway, stayed on the 134, now on the 210, and this vehicle has passed the 605. What do you make of all that this driver is not erratically changing freeways?
SSRI.
Based on, my opinion of what we're watching and have pursuits before when they have a destination, it seems like this vehicle is going back to where it lives, so to speak, meaning he's going back to familiar ground that's not Ventura County, that's not Eagle Rock, Glendale, Pasadena, or any of those other cities, that he's going somewhere possibly in the Inland Empire.
And we're getting a little bit better vantage point of this driver right now. The driver has just lifted the right hand off the wheel. We'd noticed for a while, the person was driving with 2 hands on the wheel, making some sort of motion, touching his chest or something like that there. It's difficult to tell. We can't be sure, but it doesn't look as though there's anybody in the passenger seat. The windows, the back seat appear to be tinted, so we can't tell if there's an animal or perhaps anybody else inside the vehicle. But this person has to have been driving 50 to 70 miles at this point, and shows no signs of stopping. They haven't even changed lanes hardly in the last 15 to 20 minutes. Bruce, at some point, does law enforcement lose interest, or do they run out of patience with something like this and try and bring this to a stop? Or if it's not endangering the greater public, do they just continue following?
Yeah, great question. Just as a footnote, that sheriff's vehicle, I think, we had rooftop number 13, which, if I remember correctly, and I've been out of the game for a little bit, I think that's Lakewood Station. So they may have been on an uninvolved emergency call and just happened to be rolling Code 3 lights and siren on the freeway to get where they needed to be. But going back to your question, they're not going to lose interest in this because it is a possible murder suspect. They will stay behind them with lights and siren to warn the general public as they come upon them on the freeway, because you're not going to hear the siren, but you will see the lights. So this pursuit's going to continue. They're not going to lose interest, but they are going to maintain this pursuit and follow it to the terminus of it.
And we're now up to the 70 to 80 mile per hour range right now. And as Josh mentioned, this person has passed up multiple opportunities to get off the freeway. Just another possibility right there. And yet that person stayed right in the center lane. We're up to, again, back down to 64 miles an hour, sped up briefly to 90 miles per hour. This is a possible attempted murder suspect. And yet this person is showing few signs of erratic driving and also no interest in giving up.
And Bruce and Liz, I just wanted to point out that we're still on the 210 East. We've passed San Dimas. We've passed another chance for the vehicle to get off, which they did not, which was the 57 freeway. And at this point, the vehicle staying on the 210 East, still a ways away from the 15 freeway, which would be the next opportunity to change freeways. That, of course, in the sort of North Fontana area, Rancho Cucamonga, of course, not there yet, but Rancho Cucamonga would be the next big city that this vehicle would pass, and then we'll see if they make a decision whether to get on the 15 freeway. But at this point, still in that middle lane on the 210 East, really has not changed lanes. And I do think it's interesting, Bruce, that you pointed out that LA County Sheriff's deputy vehicle that was kind of staying right with it, as you thought might have just been in that location, stumbled upon the pursuit for an unrelated.
Yeah, I thought the SUV was gonna be maybe positioning for like a pit maneuver, because the roads are surprisingly, maybe, I don't know if it's surprising or not, but relatively clear. There's a Florida chase I have on my channel saved that like it was like a van with a bunch of like young guys. I guess it was stolen or something. It was busy. There was traffic, and these Florida cops, they didn't care. It was like this crazy. They came in, pit that thing. It was a huge mess. But this, I don't know if maybe they're concerned. Maybe the person's armed. Maybe they have a weapon. But the person in this vehicle, from the zoom in that we saw, they're very casual. I don't know why it's skipping like that. Very relaxed. Sometimes in these chases, you see the person like scrambling, like doing like this. You think they're on something. They're just kind of like, this person's just like chilling, just like there's nothing happening, like nothing is going on right now.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point, and that is, what if you're driving and you happen to be part of a pursuit now? What do? Put your flashers on, pull to the right, get out of the problem.
They could set up spikes too, I would think.
Exactly what that pickup truck did.
At this pace, maybe, and different states, different laws, different policies, But at this pace, they could probably, I don't know, I would think maybe they could set up a spike way up ahead. Set some spike strips up or something. He's going 60 miles an hour.
This driver inside a black Subaru SUV. This began roughly an hour ago up in Ventura County as some sort of traffic stop that obviously did not go as planned. Once this person got on the freeway up in Ventura County, that's when the California Highway Patrol took over and began pursuing this black Subaru SUV. That person made their way on the 101 South through Encino all the way through the San Fernando Valley, picked up the 134 eastbound, drove through Glendale, Pasadena, the Burbank area, Toluca Lake. There was some more traffic at that point, but this person then got on the 210 East Freeway and has been there for several miles, now going 60 to 61 miles per hour, a pretty slow rate of speed. This person is being pursued either for some sort of traffic violation or possible attempted murder. That is a wide range.
I copy. Number 2 lane, 55, light traffic.
Light traffic. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, Superman over here. What the hell's going on?
Number 2 lane, 65, light
oh, he's going up ahead.
Speeding past the
maybe
driver.
spike strip.
I don't know. Bruce, I know Liz had asked this earlier. Is there any sort of move that the CHP would be willing to take just because traffic is so light? Any type of spike strip?
LA Captain.
Not something that they would do on a freeway?
Yeah. Number 2 lane, 65.
Number 2 lane, 65.
Eastbound through Live Oak Canyon, number 265, no traffic. Town now, number 2 lane, 60 miles an hour, no traffic.
Oh, look at people watching.
Town now, number 2 lane, 65, no traffic. Town, number 2 lane, 65, no traffic.
Possibly the vehicle that passed is trying to create that operational area in front for the deployment of a spike strip.
So right now, still on the 210 East Freeway, passing Northtown Avenue. This is in the Claremont area. We know that and Bruce, you bring up that point about a traffic break possibly in the distance. How, if you're a CHP SUV to get out in front, talk a little bit about the strategy in terms of getting out in front of a pursuit. How does CHP approach that, and how difficult is that? Are we talking about two exits? Again, it does seem like this car is staying on the 210 East for now.
Yeah, you are learning that the suspect vehicle has stayed pretty much according to what they're driving, meaning they're driving eastbound on the 210. They're not changing lanes erratically. They're not trying to get off the freeway. They're staying pretty much where they are. So that CHP SUV that pulled ahead is possibly 2 or 3 exits ahead of them, waiting for traffic to maybe die down so that they can safely deploy the spike strip. Because also you got to remember, the officer is putting themselves at risk by deploying that spike strip with moving vehicles coming toward them.
And you mentioned that this is not something that CHP is likely to lose their patience with or give up on. I mean, they are in this for the long haul as long as this driver is going to continue on the freeway. Josh mentioned that the next opportunity for this person to really get off or change direction here is coming up on the 15 freeway. We're now going to be entering Riverside County, correct? So this will at least be the 3rd county that this driver has driven through. It started in Ventura County all the way through Los Angeles County in the San Fernando Valley and now here into Riverside County.
This vehicle traveling at least over 60 miles so far. This pursuit has been going on we're approaching 1 hour. And I do want to point out that on one of the overpasses, we did see some cars parked, some drivers out of their vehicles, looking down onto the 210 East Freeway. So now that this pursuit has gone on for quite some time, it does seem like people are getting word of this. Maybe that's leading to the 210 East still being relatively empty. We are seeing some more vehicles traveling on the west lanes.
Right, and this vehicle at this point appears to be almost the only car on the freeway on the 210 eastbound. This car is driven for quite some distance. Bruce, you said that perhaps this person knows exactly where they're going.
Oof. So they've been going for a while, it seems like. Kayla looked up the hatchback Subaru. Generally gets between 380 and 450 miles per tank, driving at an average of 70 miles per hour on the highway per series. And my car gets like 300. I don't have the best miles in my car. The Chevy Blazer. I love the car. That's my favorite car. But yeah, the gas mileage sucks on mine.
But yeah, they've run the license plate. They found out where the vehicle is registered to. From there, they will then possibly send the vehicle to that residence if it's in close proximity to where they're going, to find out, hey, do you know the driver? Do you know who this person is? And then they'll do a workup, meaning they'll
Mexican-made
car crime databases to find out who they really are and if they have a criminal history.
And I just want to point out that this pursuit, starting in Ventura County, now through LA County, and now we have entered San Bernardino County. This vehicle now on the 210 East in the Ontario area.
And so, Bruce, you were talking about some of because police have now had at least an hour to sort of figure out what's going on here. They're running the license plate. They're trying to figure out who might be inside that vehicle. CHP is speaking with Ventura County, who initiated this traffic stop. So while this pursuit is going on, there's also some good old-fashioned police work. Wait, can you see what's happening here, Bruce? Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it looks like that vehicle that pulled way ahead is going to deploy a spike strip.
Here comes the Subaru. There's a spike strip out, we believe. Here we go. What's your take, Bruce?
Well, hopefully the spike strip will work and deflate some of the tires. You have multiple CHP units there. The officer's waiting for the vehicle. Once the vehicle comes in close proximity, then he'll deploy that spike strip, or tack strip as it's called. In this case, he's going to roll it out, but he's only covering maybe one lane. So looks like it's going to be non-functional spike strip deployment at that point.
And we've made a lot of the fact that this driver has stayed in the center lane. It appears as though this driver is now starting to make their way over to the inner lanes here on the freeway and perhaps maybe looking to exit there. Clearly word of this pursuit has gotten out, because that was yet another freeway overpass that we saw drivers gathered on. People sort of watching this as though this was a real spectacle, and it has been. We're now in the third county now. This pursuit has been going on since Ventura County, well over 60 miles at this point, and yet not a super high rate of speed.
Whoa,
the California Highway Patrol is pursuing this person because they believe it may be an attempted murder suspect. And so Bruce has been telling us they are treating this as the most dangerous possible situation to the public.
This starting as a traffic violation in Ventura County. Bruce, I want to ask you, could that have been a failed spike strip attempt? Because we did see that California Highway Patrol SUV speed ahead about 15 minutes ago, and it looked like that might have been the same vehicle that we saw that officer on the side of the road possibly trying to lay out a spike strip, but it does not seem like that Subaru was impacted at all. Doesn't seem like their tires have been impacted as this pursuit continues.
Yeah, it was a failed deployment, and part of the problem with deploying the spike strip or tack strip, as it's called, on a freeway is you have 4 or 5 lanes. So you got to put the patrol vehicle in one lane, and hopefully, you're throwing it out, but it can only cover maybe a lane or a lane and a half. And so what they'd have to do is kind of funnel the vehicle toward that spike strip, which put the officers in grave danger to do this. And you would need multiple spike strips in order to do this.
Yeah, there's a sheriff airship flying through our shot there, right there. Okay, Bruce, we have a very important update. You've been saying that CHP is treating this as a dangerous possible situation, an attempted murder suspect. We now have some clarification. The Ventura CHP just clarified this for our assignment desk. They said this started as a traffic matter. During the pursuit, they say the suspect called the Ventura Sheriff Dispatch. The sheriff and the suspect talked for an extended amount of time. They say they figured out who he was and why this person wasn't stopping, and they clarified that he is wanted in connection with an attempted murder investigation. So this is why you were saying CHP, if they believe there's any chance that this is connected to an attempted murder, they are going to treat it as such.
Are we looking at another spike strip situation there?
Let's see what they do. Yeah, it's just hard on the freeway because there's so many lanes.
How many lanes
We're now in the Ontario area, just to point out, and yet another freeway overpass where people are gathered watching. So this is really, word of this has really gotten out to the general public.
How many lanes does a spike strip normally cover, Bruce?
It looks like the spike strip they're using are maybe about 9 feet in total length. It looks like they did deploy it. Either they got one of the tires or they just missed it due to the length of the spike strip. But they're definitely going to try to keep employing spike strips. And to your point, with the advent of social media, people are watching this pursuit as it's streaming live on Channel 7, on KABC, but also their social media is blowing up over this, as you can see on the overpasses.
Just out of curiosity, does that change how police respond to that when they notice that there are people now out and watching this, that perhaps somehow the public could get involved? Are they more eager to bring this to a quick conclusion?
We need Mr. Tire.
On the freeway, it's not so much as problematic as they were in a residential area, that we have seen suspects at the terminus, and we've seen, people that are friendlies get involved, and also maybe some antagonistic people.
I think that might have been like the second attempt on a spike that they just tried. Like right there, the one that we just missed. Well, we didn't miss it, but right, you see right there on the floor. I don't know if you caught him or not. I don't know if the little part. I'll do it one more time real quick. I don't know. You see right there on the floor. It could have not. That looks like that was a second attempt to spike him. I didn't see the first one. I'm
looking to move through. But what do you make of the fact that this suspect called the sheriff's office dispatch himself?
Another spike strip situation.
Oh, that's from earlier. I apologize. So we're rerunning.
That's the one I missed.
So, Bruce, I want to ask you, just to restate what we had gotten there, that this started as a traffic matter. During this pursuit, after it jumped onto the freeway, the suspect called the Ventura Sheriff Dispatch Center himself. And the suspect, the person behind the wheel, and the sheriff himself had an extended conversation. And that's how investigators were able to figure out who this person is and said that he is wanted in connection to an attempted murder. What do you make of that, Bruce?
Well, that's a good thing, that law enforcement has gained information now of who was in the vehicle, what they were wanted for. Was it an armed type situations. So these are all things that they're now planning for at the terminus or end of this pursuit. But anytime you can find out who's in the vehicle, what they're wanted for, where they live, all that information, that's all positives for law enforcement.
But interesting that this person called dispatch, voluntarily gave information, but continues to want to, it appears to outrun law enforcement, because this car at no point has tried to stop, has gotten off the freeway, this pursuit continuing. But we know that there have been numerous situations, I can think of a few stories I've covered, where suspects call dispatch, they want to share information, they want to identify themselves, and this appears to be one of those situations, Bruce.
Is this person, so the driver just signaled again, where they were changing lanes here. So are you noticing any change in pattern of this driver in the last few minutes? Because we've had a lot going on here. There are more drivers on the road at this point. We have a little more information. Are you noticing any changes as you're watching this?
You know, I hate to use the word safely, but that's what they're doing. They're driving very safely, maintaining a decent speed with traffic. They're signaling. They're moving over. You know, they're trying. There was another spike strip attempt right there also. You know, I'm sure they've tried to call the suspect back and say, look, you know, just pull over, give yourself up. We can make sure you're not harmed. Let's just end this now. So they've definitely tried to call him or her back, and hopefully they're talking.
So one thing that we do want to point out, and we've been talking about this again, Josh Haskell here with Liz Nagy and Bruce Thomas. Bruce, our control room confirms there have been 3 failed spike strip attempts. It doesn't appear like the tires on the Subaru have been impacted at all. We have not seen any signs of that. Of course, we don't know for sure, but we have seen 3 separate situations where CHP officers, I believe 2 times near the center divider, they deployed spike strips and the Subaru was not impacted by them. And then another time they were on the shoulder, and that also was not effective. It seems as though that they will continue to do this. Can you give our viewers any context? Is this standard protocol when it comes to a pursuit on a freeway, that there would be 3+ more spike strip attempts? Are they just going to continue this?
Well, I think that they have been given permission if it presents itself to deploy the spike strip. The problem is you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 5 lanes of traffic. So you really can't deploy it in the middle. So you have to deploy it on either the fast lane side or the slow lane side. And then you kind of have to funnel the driver toward that spike strip because they have multiple lanes to evade it. So this creates just huge problems for CHP.
Also, Bruce, I just want to point out that we're at 6:53 now. Sunset is set for 7:17, so we're coming into a time of day where the light is going to start to change. Is that going to change any bit of law enforcement tactic on this, if in fact this is still going in another 25 minutes, and given that it's been going for well over an hour at this point?
Yeah, what you'll see is the airship overhead, whether it's CHP or sheriffs or some other agency that has joined it, they're going to use the night sun. And that will be to illuminate the suspect vehicle and also warn drivers that there is pursuit in that area. So with the night sun and the flare, the infrared device, that's the only thing that changes. Now we're just operating in a darkened area.
Okay, and we can notice now there are quite a few vehicles pulled off to the side of the road on the side of the 210 freeway. We just finally got that air map back, that sky map back up. So we know we are still on the 210 eastbound deep in San Bernardino County at this point. And yet this driver is showing no signs of stopping. This began as a pursuit up in Ventura County when it started as some sort of traffic stop. Obviously, this person did not stop, got on the freeway southbound there, traveled the entire distance through the San Fernando Valley, through the San Gabriel Valley, and last week checked that this person was in the Ontario area. Now, Bruce, one thing I wanted to ask you about, now that we know that this suspect called the Ventura County Sheriff's Department himself and had what we're told is an extended conversation, that's something I imagine where investigators are able to learn something about this person's state of mind, which is huge in this investigation. Can you give us some insight on that?
Yeah, well, they've obviously, they were talking to him and finding out what he knows about this crime, how he's involved, his name, where he lives, all that information. And hopefully they've re-racked that phone conversation and played it back to see, is this person calm or are they erratic? Because they're driving to me and to everybody involved who's watching us, seems very controlled, very calm.
Right, and while we know that this is somebody who's wanted for some sort of attempted murder, this has been a relatively undangerous police pursuit that's gone on for, gosh, 80 miles at this point.
And we have not used the term slow speed because that's not what it's been. But Bruce, when people do describe pursuits as a slow speed pursuit, what mile per hour are we usually talking about?
Well, typically, you have pursuits and, anything over 20 miles an hour, we would consider a high-speed pursuit. There are certain pursuit guidelines that department and different agencies have on residential streets, highway. I mean, if they're going 100 miles an hour on a vacant freeway like this, is that dangerous? It can be, but typically it's not. But if they were doing that kind of speed on a residential street, that pursuit probably would be canceled and be surveilled by the helicopter just for everyone's safety.
And we do want to update you that as we've gone from Ventura County to LA County, now in San Bernardino County, passing from Ontario to Rancho Cucamonga, we can confirm that we are now in the Fontana area on the 210 freeway. It does appear this driver has passed the 15, is not too far from the 215 freeway in San Bernardino County, again, in the Fontana area, not too far from Rialto. And we are planning on staying with this, even though we will go off the air in a few minutes. You can, of course, continue our coverage on streaming, Hulu, wherever you stream, including the ABC7 app.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up our coverage here on air in just a moment. But Bruce, as we do so, and we know CHP is still following this attempted murder suspect, anything that you can tell us as you've been watching this for an hour and a half now, any insights that you've gained to pass on to our viewers?
Yeah, it seems that CHP is going to be very content in following this pursuit or staying in a pursuit of this suspect based on the information that they've gained and the suspect talking to Ventura County Dispatch. So CHP is not going anywhere, and they're very content to hand it off to additional units and stations as they go further east, and probably will continue with the spike strips.
We're well into the Fontana area, and we're coming up in just a few minutes on sunset, so it's going to begin getting dark on this situation. It's still not clear if this person has an intended destination, but this began all the way up in Ventura County as some sort of traffic stop. The person did not stop, and CHP has been pursuing that person ever since. So we're going to continue our coverage over on abc7.com, and if you're following us on our app, you can stay with it as well. Liz Nagy alongside Josh Haskell, and we've got Bruce Thomas, our law enforcement expert, with us. Stick with us to see exactly how this comes to a conclusion
as this pursuit continues through the Fontana area.
Fontana, how far that is?
If you are just joining us on our streaming app, or perhaps
like 100-something miles away,
watching a pursuit that began up in Ventura.
When I look up on Google Maps, Ventura to Fontana is roughly about 118 miles. Have you been following this person for 100-something miles? What? So CHP took over from Ventura. Okay. Possible attempted murder suspect. Started as a traffic matter. And this person called in, apparently, the police and had like a long conversation. I don't know if they just admitted to I was involved in this attempted murder situation or whatever. Now there's just this long pursuit. Wow.
That area, we are now well past the Fontana area in San Bernardino County. This person is wanted for some sort of attempted murder, but we've not gotten details about the situation this person may be connected to. Is not just for this vehicle, but also to give at least 3 separate occasions to stop this driver with spike strips, all of them, as you can see, unsuccessful. But Josh, we have not seen any real excessive speed, and this driver has been on the exact same lane for most miles.
And we're showing you a little video right now from earlier of one of those spike strip attempts. As Bruce Thomas, who is with us, as he pointed out.
Casual, very relaxed, almost as if they're medicated or something. I don't know.
Easily switch lanes if you see that CHP officer on the side of the road. I also want to point out how an interesting development that our newsroom was able to clarify, that the suspect actually called dispatch in Ventura County during this pursuit from their cell phone, from the vehicle, and that was when the CHP was able to speak with the Ventura County sheriffs and figure out exactly, started as a traffic violation, but this is indeed a pursuit of an attempted murder suspect.
So a very dangerous situation. We do now know that this person is in the Rialto area coming up on 215 East. Bruce, we have been pointing out that this driver has been going somewhere in the 60-mile-per-hour range for the majority of this time and has not attempted to get off the freeway at all. And while this is not safe, certainly, for other drivers on the road, this driver does not appear to be putting other people in immediate danger.
Yeah, what we've seen is this person staying pretty much in the lanes that they're staying in. Their speeds are not dangerously over the speed limit. Luckily, traffic is very light for a Sunday evening on these freeways. So at this point, there's a lot of pluses for law enforcement in this pursuit. It's kind of just a wait-and-see type attitude.
And Bruce, it does appear that this driver is going to have to make some sort of a decision as they approach the 215 freeway. They are very close right now, passing Rialto, not too far from Moscoy, and we know that either they'll stay on the 210 freeway, which we know wraps around and can connect to the 215. They could get off at the 215, but there will have to be some decision made soon. I don't know if you're too familiar with that area, but we're very close to the 215 interchange.
Yeah, at some point, the suspect is going to have to make a decision, like you said, to either stay and continue east or possibly go north and or south. But I think it looks like they're very content to stay in the lane and just stay east. So we will wait and see.
It appears it's difficult to tell when we can only see the SUV here. It appears to me as though this car is slowing down just a little bit. I wonder if because that decision has to be made in a few miles, if perhaps the person knows where they are, or at least is following road signs that they're seeing out there and is trying to make a decision about what they are going to do. Bruce?
Yeah, or they're just very content to stay in that lane as they know this area or the area coming up, and they want to continue eastbound. But it does look like there is some transition freeway lanes coming up, and hopefully they will either make a decision. Obviously, the best decision is to pull over the side of the road and let CHP do their felonies traffic stop.
There's the airship right there, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Deputy following and getting in on this. So now we have multiple law enforcement agencies that have been involved in this pursuit. When this finally comes to an end, and at some point it will come to some sort of conclusion.
Here we go.
Let's watch to see what happens here.
Looks like the vehicle is staying on the 210.
Is it possible for AirSim to put the sky map back up there?
And Bruce, while we watch what decision this driver decides to make, I did want to ask you, 3 failed.
We've got another blinker happening here. So this is a very courteous driver who led police on quite a pursuit at this point. It looks like they're getting off at some point.
Yes, it does look like they are making that decision.
Easter, it is Easter.
Freeway right now. Yes, the driver switching from the 210 freeway to the 215 north, it appears.
Thoughtful impact.
The driver.
That's another driver on the road that's pulled over. And this is where things can kind of get confusing. And Bruce, we haven't had to deal with this for quite a while now because we noticed that most of the drivers are pulling over and it hasn't come into contact with people. What happens when this person ultimately starts coming across more traffic at some point, whether it's on the freeway or perhaps on city streets?
Having multiple, lanes with heavier traffic kind of works to their advantage because it means the suspect has to slow up. We haven't seen him with that urgency to pass vehicles or do unsafe maneuvers. So it kind of works in law enforcement's favor. However, with the advent of the sun going down, it's a dark-colored vehicle. Having a helicopter with the night sun overhead, that does create some other issues for law enforcement.
We know the vehicle's not too far from Cal State University, San Bernardino, when that vehicle changed from the 210 to the 215, passing downtown San Bernardino, now heading north on the 215 towards Devore, not too far from the well-known Glen Helen Amphitheater. And I wanted to ask you about those 3 failed spike strip attempts, Bruce. Is that pretty common that is something that would happen, be deployed on a freeway pursuit? And is it usually successful? Obviously, this time it was not.
You know, it's kind of a hit and miss with a spike strip. They're only so long in length and, you know, about 9 feet or so. So you're trying to cover multiple lanes. The suspect could stay in the number, 2 fast lane, and the suspect could avoid the spike strips. DHP tried 3 times. They were 0 for 3, but that may be common. We have seen it before. I remember I had one instance where I deployed the spike strip on a very narrow street from the city of West Hollywood to Beverly Hills, and it worked out just fine because there were only 2 lanes of traffic. But when you try to cover multiple lanes, that really becomes problematic for them.
When we zoom in here, sometimes we try and get a glimpse inside the vehicle, as we are right now. From this vantage point, you can't see anything. Best we can tell that this is a male driver with some sort of orange T-shirt on. At one point, the driver had both hands on the wheel. We do know that the driver personally called Ventura Sheriff's Dispatch himself. But when we get those zoomed-in shots, what are you looking for in the vehicle?
You know, the same thing you guys are looking for. Is the suspect rummaging through stuff? Do they seem excited? Are they, consuming any kind of liquids, possibly alcohol, smoking, those type of things? But we're not seeing that. The suspect almost has his hands at 10 and 2. They're a little further down. Very calmly are they going about their business.
Yeah.
So we can tell you that the suspect is still on the 215 North near the Lytle Creek area, and that is when the suspect coming up is going to have to make a decision whether they transfer to the 15 freeway or they get on the 138. That is the next option. As we know that this pursuit now in the Inland Empire, we can tell you it started in Ventura County, then made its way on the 101 South through LA County, then took the 134 east to the 210 east, leaving LA County into San Bernardino County. And this is where we find ourselves right now. There have been, as Bruce just said, the CHP over 3 on spike strip attempts. That does not mean that they will not try again. Obviously, more narrow freeway right now. Most of the time we've seen this driver in the middle lane on a 4 to 5 lane freeway. Now we're looking at just 2 lanes right now. Not many places for this driver to go. At one point, we thought there might have been a passenger inside that vehicle, but it did appear to be belonging, something in the front seat. As Liz just pointed out, a courteous driver at times, putting the turn signal on, rolling down the window at times, and staying really in this same speed range of 60 to 70 miles per hour.
And Bruce, we keep talking about this, but because this has been going on for well over an hour and a half at this point, CHP investigators have to be looking for patterns on this driver. We notice that this person continues to use their turn signals.
Going out into the mountains.
At one point, they called the sheriff's dispatch center themselves. So investigators might have a pretty good idea here of the kind of person they're dealing with.
Yeah, very, very astute, the way you phrased it. They have done a workup on this person. They've obviously talked to them. They know who this person is, what type of crime they're really wanted for, and I'm sure they're trying to be in communication again with them to say, look, let's just end this. And the other thing, too, is how much gas was left in that Subaru when we started? Was it a quarter tank? Was it a full tank? How much more of a distance can this vehicle go before it runs out of gas?
All right. This is a person that started this pursuit up in Ventura County, so they have had to have gone over 100 miles at this point. And I was just thinking of that as we talked about the amount of fuel left in Air 7 at this point.
And not that this will dramatically impact this pursuit, but you can see that one of the front lights on the vehicle is out, appears to be out. That left
now he should pull over.
Does appear to be
Forget
out.
about the murder and all this other.
You're getting into a
more about sunset.
The lights out, man. That's irresponsible.
Area. You can see that the daylight is changing. That's going to very much change in the next 20 minutes or so. And Bruce, talking about this person's state of mind, given that they called the Sheriff's Dispatch Center themselves, clearly investigators have a phone number for the person they're dealing with. There has to be some sort of, for lack of a better term, high-speed hostage negotiation type thing going on here.
There's a light out.
They ought to have, somewhat more experience in the dispatch center, meaning not just the 911 operator possibly has tried to call this person to try to talk to them, to try to say, okay, what can we do for you? What can you help us with?
So now we have this.
Oh, what is he doing?
Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt,
now we're seeing a
Bruce.
little bit of erratic maneuver as they
What
try
was
and get
that?
around this tractor trailer. We keep.
Oh,
another
So
failed
we're
what the
now
hell?
0 for 4.
Oh, I
California
thought he tried to
Highway
go under
Patrol
the
trying to lay down
truck.
a spike strip. You saw this vehicle at one point. It looked like they were trying to possibly go on the shoulder to get around this truck, but that.
Now we know why. Right now we know why they were trying to evade that spike strip out there. So as Josh just pointed out, 0 for 4 on spike strips here, which, Bruce, as you mentioned, are very tricky maneuvers to try and pull off on the freeway. Perhaps, does this person maybe know that, and that's why they've not gotten off and tried side streets?
I think that they probably have seen the CHP vehicle there, and they've seen the spike strips. As it gets darker, they're more hard to pick up. But also, we haven't seen CHP seen them funnel the vehicle toward the spike strip yet either. And as it gets dark, they may just, abandon that attempt with the spike strips and just being content to stay in pursuit, follow them with the helicopter with the night sun.
And we talked about, I'm sorry about this, Josh, we talked about this before, but so often people tend to either go home or go to an area that they know very well. This person, does it appear to you as though they're doing that, or are they, if you had to guess, driving in a more meandering fashion and just sort of making this up as they go?
You hate to make assumptions or to guess, but in this case, I think the suspect is just driving haphazardly, eastbound, northbound, whichever way this freeway is going, and whatever area they live in, they've already passed that. So at this point, they're just going to be content in driving until the vehicle runs out of gas or a spike strip is successful.
This location we have from our assignment desk is still on the 215, approaching the 15 freeway in the Devore Heights area. I do want to point out that this started as a traffic violation in Ventura County. We do not know exactly what Ventura County Sheriff deputies tried to pull over this vehicle for, what that violation was, but through coordination, conversation, our assignment desk was told an extensive. Oh, looks like a tire just came off.
Oh,
of that
why did I do that?
Right now.
Oh my God! Hold on a second. Oh, it just came out. Okay, I'm sorry. With the wrong thing.
Tried to pull over this vehicle.
Jesus Christ!
What that?
Oh my God! It's even worse. I'm sorry.
But through coordination, conversation, our
I just lost the stream.
Oh, looks like a tire just came off of that Subaru right now. We have to imagine maybe that has something to do with one of the spike strip attempps. We don't know for sure.
Gosh.
Obviously, a car could
tire
just lose
came
a
out.
tire. What's your take on this?
Okay,
appears to be on the
tire and deflated it, and now it has come off. Which is good for law enforcement.
Would we be seeing any type of sparks, though, Bruce? Oh, the car does appear to be stopping at this.
Shit. Is that it?
They're slowing down significantly, if not stopping. Although it does appear that the driver's pretty determined here, as we've seen most of the way, and it appears the front left tire is wobbling quite a bit. So this person may be sort of on their last leg, so to speak, Bruce. And this has to be sort of a big break for law enforcement. Well over 100 miles in.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm not an expert on Subarus. Dave would probably be able to tell you. But I don't know if they're front-wheel drive and this type of
all-wheel drive vehicles. So this person may have good control over the vehicle, but nevertheless, they're dealing with a damaged vehicle at this point as the sun starts to go down.
The whole road's
and we, of course, are in the mountainous area.
Yeah, they're going to the mountains.
I believe back on the 15 freeway. We've already passed Lytle Creek. You can see there's not too many homes or businesses around here. And this vehicle has not tried to get off the freeway a single time since we've been on this pursuit. They continue in around the middle of the freeway, but obviously having to slow down a little bit because of those tire issues following what we believe was a successful fourth spike strip attempt by the CHP. At one point, Liz, just a minute ago, it looked like the CHP was kind of trying to position out, fan out in case this car would stop in the middle of the freeway.
Right, and Bruce, it appears as though, we're zoomed in pretty tight at this point, but CHP appears to be giving the car some distance. This car has not been going very fast for the duration of this pursuit. It seems to be trying to maintain whatever speed it can, but that ultimately will be out of the person's control. So what's going on here? Does CHP know that this is going to be their moment soon, trying to give this some distance, and the driver will ultimately meet his fate pretty soon?
Yeah, very much so. Right now, all the units
is he
talking
stopping
to each other.
or slowing
You have
down?
a field supervisor, hopefully, in this pursuit, which is going to explain to the units what he or she wants them to do, meaning how to fan out over the freeway, who's going to do the traffic brake, etc. But it looks like from Air 7 HD's vantage point, it's the front left driver's side tire. And I don't know if that's what you guys are seeing also.
That appears to be what we're looking at as well, yes.
And it did look from Air 7 that the tire did come off the car, but then when we zoomed in on that front left tire, there was still at least part of it still on the vehicle. And at this point, I know, Bruce, you pointed out you're not a Subaru expert, but you've covered enough of these pursuits. It does seem like at this point we would see sparks, but we have not seen any sort of sparks. Could that be because the car is just not going very fast, or there's still enough rubber to protect that axle?
Very much so. It could be because there's still some rubber on that tire in the rim area, and because they're all-wheel drive, it's not powering the vehicle. So, but eventually you're going to run that rubber down, and you are going to see them riding on the rim, and you will see sparks eventually. But right now, not so much.
All right, on the right side of your screen right there for viewers who may not have been watching when this happened, this was just a few minutes ago when CHP attempted that spike strip. We saw the car go off the road right there on the shoulder. That was likely when the car may have clipped the spike strip, attempted to avoid it, and may not have been able to do so. Got on the left side of this tractor trailer to pass it. And just a few minutes later, you'll see here in just a minute, that's when we watched the tire come rolling off that vehicle at somewhat of a high rate of speed. Now, this driver has been going in the 60-some mile an hour range for most of this pursuit that began well up into Ventura County, all the way through Los Angeles County and deep into San Bernardino County at this point. Bruce, one other thing I noticed just a minute ago when you and Josh were speaking is that the driver rolled down the window for a moment. We were able to get a better glimpse inside the window, but then for some reason rolled the window right back up. So it didn't last long enough to really see if there was anything that was thrown out of the vehicle. I didn't see that happen, but we are starting to see a few changes in behavior from this person, you know, probably at least 120 miles into this pursuit.
100 plus miles.
Yeah, we are seeing that. We are seeing the vehicle slow down, drive at a slower speed, get into the much slower lanes, even though there's only a couple of lanes on this particular freeway or transition road freeway. So, yeah, we have seen that, and hopefully the suspect is thinking about slowing down and pulling over.
To recap for our viewers, just within the last 15 minutes, we've seen this vehicle go from the 210 east to the 15 freeway to the 215, back on the 15 freeway, passing the Cajon Junction. That is the latest update we have on the exact location of where this pursuit was. Not too far from Victorville. We'll have to see if this vehicle does stay on the 15 freeway and does head towards Victorville. But we can tell you in the video that we just showed you that that fourth attempt by the California Highway Patrol spike strip attempt was successful. That front left driver's side tire is flat at this point. That has significantly reduced the speed at which this Subaru is traveling. I don't know if we can bring up this current speed right now. This pursuit at times had reached 80, 90, but really has been in the 60, 70, not a super fast pursuit, the driver staying in the middle. And right now, I have to imagine that this is the slowest the vehicle has traveled. I don't know if we can pull up how fast it's going right now, but it looks to me, Liz, I don't know, 40 miles per hour, 50?
It's difficult to tell because there are no other cars on the road, so there's no way to compare it. But this driver is certainly not driving erratically and has not been for most of this pursuit. Now, if you're just joining us, this pursuit likely began about 2 hours ago. We've been following it since the top of the 6 o'clock hour. And this began up in Ventura County as some sort of attempted traffic stop by the Ventura County Sheriff's Office. That traffic stop was obviously not successful. This person jumped on the 101 South, and that is where the California Highway Patrol picked up this entire pursuit that has been going ever since. And CHP has been following this car since they picked it up in Ventura County on the 101 South. That person drove from the 101 South all the way through the San Fernando Valley, picked up the 134 and headed east through Pasadena, Glendale, Burbank, picked up several other freeways, now 15 north headed toward Victorville. And this person was wanted for attempted murder. And we now know from the Ventura County Sheriff's Department that at some point this person, the driver of this vehicle, called the dispatch center himself, had an extended conversation with one of the sheriff's deputies. And that's in fact when they were able to clarify that this person was wanted in connection to an attempted murder. Now, we don't know any more about that situation, an attempted murder against who or how this may have been involved, what happened. What we also still don't know here is if there's anybody else in this vehicle. We've not seen any signs of a passenger or anybody in the back seat. We haven't seen the back windows roll down at any point. We just know that police have tried 4 different times to use spike strips to stop this driver, and only one, that very last one, was somewhat successful. But this car has to have driven maybe 20 miles or so, Josh, would you say, since that spike strip attempt?
Yeah, but that persistence by the CHP paying off with that 4th attempt. And I have to imagine Bruce Thomas is with us, that they will continue to try, possibly from a different side of the road, to try and get one of those other tires. This is not something they're going to stop now that it's been successful. Would you agree, Bruce?
No, they're talking about it. Whether they will actually do it as the sun starts to set and gets darker, that becomes some other issues. Or they may just be very content to let this tire deflate totally and come apart. I'm not sure these are run flat tires or what they have, but we definitely saw a good chunk of this tire go off the rim. So it's just a matter of waiting to see what happens now.
And as the light begins to change, does this, and this stretches on into its second hour, does this become an advantage for law enforcement, or does this become an advantage for the driver here?
While the pursuit's going on, the advantage would be for law enforcement because they have the helicopter with the night sun that will illuminate the area. However, if it does become a terminus of the pursuit, where it becomes a foot bail, that becomes part of the advantage to the suspect, and then law enforcement has to flood the area and contain it and control the area where the suspect is.
And if there
kind of a half and half at this point.
Understood. And if there is good news here, it is that this driver has not really put other drivers in danger.
The cops
this person
have blocked
has stayed
the exits,
relatively, traveling in the 60-some mile per hour range. They've not been erratically driving through traffic. They've not gotten off the freeway at any point and driven through city streets. So as far as that goes for law enforcement, they have been able to maintain safety, at least to the general public, Bruce.
Yeah, very much so. This has been one of our safer, if you can use that word, pursuits, meaning traffic has been very, very light. They stayed on the freeway. They haven't really endangered too many vehicles or too many uninvolved motorists. So in this case, it's a good thing.
And we can tell you, as far as location goes, we've passed the Cajon Junction, we've passed the Cajon Pass. It does appear that this vehicle is approaching the Victorville area, but traveling at a not as fast as the car was going because it's lost one of its tires. The next big area that it would approach would be Victorville. Not quite there yet. You can see traffic building on the other side of the freeway, but we have barely seen any vehicles. And I do want to point out during that
because the traffic on the other
spike
side
strip attempt, it was interesting that there was actually a big
on the other side.
That it appeared to us that the car was possibly trying to go around that big rig, but it was clearly actually trying to avoid a spike strip. Not successful. CHP was successful, but
Sunday night.
Clearly the car has 3 appears to be functioning tires at this point, and as Liz pointed out, it's been able to go now for the last 20 plus minutes. We're showing you that scene from earlier again, that successful 4th spike strip attempt. The car, we cannot pull up the exact mile per hour right now, but we can tell you that it's going much slower than it has, and that is because it does not have a inflated
tire, right? Hey, this car can't be going much more than, Bruce, would you say maybe 45 miles per hour or so if you had to guess watching this?
Yeah, based on what I'm seeing, I'm thinking maybe in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range. They've definitely slowed down drastically.
And it appears to me, again, I don't know if, we've just been watching this so long, but it appears as though the car's slowing down even more. On the one side of your screen, you're seeing that tire come off, and it appears as though that tire came off perfectly intact at the moment when that rolled off, right, Bruce?
Yeah, it did. It looked like it was, it looked like an intact tire that came off, but yet I think as Air 7 HD pushes into the shot, we can see the rim. But as far as is there still some rubber on that rim, it appears that there was or still is.
What does law enforcement possibly know about this car, the person inside, or the situation that led to this that we don't know, and what questions are they asking right now?
And if only we could have the recording of that conversation between the suspect and Ventura County Dispatch.
Yeah, very much so. We know what kind of car it is. We know where it's registered. We know who the registered owner of the vehicle is. As far as the additional information that you're speaking of, we don't have that available to us. But we do know as much as we can about this vehicle, meaning where does this vehicle live, where does it reside, and who is the registered owner of it.
And because the sheriff's deputies actually spoke to this driver himself, I have to imagine they've pulled up as much information as they can possibly find on this person, any potential criminal record that may be involved, any traffic violations over time, where this person lives, and who they're associated with, right?
Call mama.
Yeah, very much so. They are doing what they call a whole workup on this person, running the vehicle, and then going backwards from there. They also have the phone number to this person, so they can cross-reference that phone number and find out also where that phone resides. Is it the same location as the registered owner of the vehicle, or is it a different location? So that's the kind of information that they're getting. But at this point, it's all conjecture as to can they talk to the suspect.
All right, well, we do now have SkyMap back up, Bruce, and we were pretty close on our estimate there. And in fact, that car's actually going a little slower than we thought, somewhere between 38 and 40 miles per hour. So that car has clearly been damaged and impeded by that tire flying off the vehicle like we saw. That had to have been 15 minutes ago, right, Josh?
Yeah, and we do have an update on the location, still on the 15 freeway north. And
in the Mount Baldy and Wrightwood area.
Yeah, but I believe still kind of heading towards Victorville, because it would have to get off.
Didn't we cover a story in Victorville?
The 18 freeway in order to get to the Palmdale Lancaster area. So since it's still on the 15 north, we can tell you that it is the next area that that we're looking at would be Victorville, and then of course further up Barstow. People, we know motorists in our area very familiar with the 15 freeway if you drive to Las Vegas and other areas, and I'm sure normally on a Sunday we know that we've seen some of that traffic heading back towards LA County, but at this point, especially in this section, Liz, we have not seen any traffic at all, and barely any other vehicles.
Oh, I thought they had all the stuff
I don't know if Air 7 can
traffic?
zoom out at all, but it makes me wonder what things look like out in front of this vehicle, if all the exits have been shut down, if other cars are even on the road at this point.
And Bruce, I notice as Air 7 zooms out a little, I can't tell if it's more vehicles, but we have at least half a dozen CHP vehicles following this car. You can now see as the daylight is changing, it very much just has one headlight that it is using to see. So they are at a disadvantage here. This driver has one headlight heading through a dark mountainous region. They have 3 tires. One has come off the vehicle. And this person has been driving for easily 120 to 140 miles or something at this point.
And we're approaching 30 minutes where this driver's been around 40 miles per hour. So I was thinking ahead a little bit. Okay, maybe they've reached Victorville. They're not even there yet. You could see that when you're traveling that speed, it's going to take you quite a bit longer.
So, Bruce, we were just talking about this. This has to be then advantage law enforcement here at this point. The person's driving with one headlight and 3 tires.
Yeah, the fact that they're driving with one headlight, it's a really unique vehicle now. So law enforcement and the helicopter is going to be able to see that with no issues. The fact that they've lost the tire and are on the rim, I'm surprised, as Josh said, we haven't seen the deflating of whatever's left on that rim and see the sparks from that rim. So it's just a matter of time, and I'm very surprised, but obviously this type of vehicle can sustain that damage.
And the latest update that we do have from our assignment desk is that the car is indeed approaching Victorville. If this car continues on the 15 North, which it appears it will, because we have really not seen it switch freeways too often, after Victorville it would hit Barstow and then of course move into the Fort Irwin, Baker area, and then continue on possibly. I don't think that it has who knows if it has enough gas to even continue on out of the state of California. Quite a ways to go, especially if you're traveling at 40 miles per hour.
Someone's got to give, right?
And Bruce, given that this has gone on for so long and this driver is clearly disadvantaged at this point, is CHP eager to bring this to an end, or as you have said several times, are they more than content to just sort of run out the clock on this and allow the driver to come to its own conclusion, and this will stop eventually?
Yeah, they would like this to come to an end. There's a drain on resources. Even though it's slow speed, it is a pursuit. It's very taxing on the officers involved in this. But the question is, how much further is this vehicle going to go? Like Josh said, is it going to go all the way to Vegas, or maybe to Baker, California, or to
maneuver this guy
wherever it's going north at this point?
And as we say this, we're seeing a little bit of change of pattern here. It appears as though there are several more CHP cars gaining some distance on this vehicle right now. There appear to be more of them. They appear to be closing in on this car. What do you think is happening here?
It looks like they're probably changing out vehicles, meaning they've gone to the edge of one of their patrol areas, and they're now into another area, possibly the Victorville units. That's what it looks like. I'm seeing there units that are familiar with that area and do patrol that area on a daily basis. So they're just basically just swapping out to keep fresh units involved.
And I do have an update on our location. This driver not at Victorville yet, actually in the Oak Hills, Hesperia idea, so still a little Hesperia area, so still a little south of Victorville, and we are staying with this pursuit, which is now roughly around, as long as we can, which is roughly around 40 miles per hour, which is why the CHP continues to keep their distance, but the number of vehicles does seem to be increasing in the last couple minutes, and their posture, I know that Bruce pointed out maybe they're switching out, but it does seem like it's been quite a bit of time since we have not seen a fifth spike strip attempt at this point. We don't know if that is what they're planning coming up, but we do see that SUV kind of moving up. It's interesting to see if they change at all their tactics.
And Bruce, this is remarkable because on the other direction, on the 15 southbound, you see there's traffic build up there. There are a lot of cars going the other direction, and yet on 15 northbound, there's no one except for this semi-disabled vehicle that has been evading law enforcement for 2 hours now.
And I think a lot of our viewers are familiar with that terrible commute from Vegas home on a Sunday to LA County and other parts of Southern California. That's the traffic you're seeing. But as Liz points out, we have not really seen any other vehicles now for the last 20 to 30 minutes besides that big rig on the 15 North.
What's going on there, Bruce? Was law enforcement able to get out there and sort of close some of these entrance ramps, or is this just simply a less popular traffic route?
There's no way.
Yeah, it seems like, maybe a combination.
Oh, look, they have control of the ramps.
Leaving and coming home from Vegas, and we know that freeway could just be a nightmare going southbound from there into the LA area. But also, it may appear that CHP or other units have closed off freeway on-ramps to control the amount of traffic that is in that area also.
Okay.
We did see that one driver pulled over, it looked like. So obviously this has been going on long enough that people who are traveling the 215 freeway and now in the Victorville area, it seems like a lot of drivers are aware of this. I will tell you that it's been quite some time since we've seen crowds on the overpasses, but we haven't seen as many overpasses, and this is not as populated as an area, but we are approaching more populated areas, Hesperia. You can see actually one of the possibly San Bernardino County Sheriff.
Happy Easter egg Mel.
Helicopters shining their spotlight now for the first time on that vehicle.
Yeah, Bruce, we talked about that just a few minutes ago about what was going to change when the sun went down, and we are now right at that time now, 7:32. You said the airship would be using its spotlight to light up the suspect, and there it is, right there, exactly what you said. What's happening?
Yeah, the airship is using that night sun to illuminate the suspect vehicle. And also, if any vehicles are in that immediate area, to let them know there is some sort of hazard or some sort of situation that they may be coming upon as motorists. So they're kind of warning them. But also, the night sun is used on the suspect vehicle to let them know that, hey, there are vehicles behind you with lights and siren on, but we're above you and you're not going anywhere. So that may just put a little more pressure on the suspect.
Yeah, I have to wonder that. Is that sort of almost an unintended intimidation, or perhaps intended intimidation factor on the driver of, you may have been evading us for this long, but we're still on you?
Yeah, exactly. they're not going to get right up on the suspect vehicle to force their hand, so to speak, to cause them to do some dangerous maneuvers and or driving. But they want them as a gentle reminder, we're still here. We're not going anywhere.
On the night shift.
It appears as though this driver, it's difficult to tell without any other cars or without the sky map out there. It appears to me as though the driver's picking up a little bit of speed, perhaps not going as slow in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range as the person was going, which is remarkable given that it's probably easily been a half hour since we saw that tire come flying off the car before.
I was actually wondering if that was a fifth spike strip attempt, because you saw a CHP officer actually in the middle of the center divider there, outside of his vehicle, and that's kind of what we've seen from time to time. But it even at one point with that spotlight looked like maybe the windshield was cracked. But we just, again, have seen so many belongings in that front passenger seat that it's really hard to know what exactly is inside that vehicle. I also wanted to ask you, Bruce, let's say this car slowed down, now picking up a little bit, 48 miles per hour. Let's say it slowed down to 20 miles per hour. At what point do CHP vehicles approach this vehicle, try and ram it? Is that something we might see?
Yeah, we may see a pit maneuver. Ideally, this is a great operational area, meaning you have minimal traffic or no traffic. You have a wide open freeway area with no obstructions to the left, no obstructions to the right, and the only hazard would be the center median K rails that are there. So, and it looks like it's a fairly level area. So this would not be a bad situation for CHP to actually try to deploy a pit maneuver.
I have to imagine, given that it's getting dark now, and you have people out there commuting home, granted they're going the other direction, you mentioned the drain on resources, that CHP has to be eager to bring this to a conclusion.
Yeah, very much so. You have multiple units that have been involved in this. They all have to, as we say, 1019, or go to the station and report what their involvement was. There is a post-pursuit form and paperwork that has to be filled out and submitted to the state of California, to the CHP in this case. So there's a lot of paperwork that's going to take place, and that causes those units to stay out of the field while they do this.
This is something that's been an incredible drain on resources, predominantly for the California Highway Patrol.
Yeah, I'm surprised they let this go on for as long as it has, because, I mean, the last I checked, it was over 100 miles. Maybe it's like 150 now or something. And I'm wondering how long those choppers are going to be able to keep following. There's two live choppers. It's ABC, and I think somebody else in the chat mentioned CBS. And then there's also let me see, I think it's still a San Bernardino chopper. San Bernardino chopper still following. This person's just heading north and north and north and north, still going north. I'm a little surprised. The only thing I could think is maybe they're worried the person's armed. But they've missed like 5 spike strips already. And this is a clear road. Like, this is the best conditions. I guess the person's going too fast for them to pit. And maybe this person is intentionally doing that. Maybe they know if I go too slow, because they could drive slower and maybe try to preserve the tire. But if they go too slow, like they mentioned, maybe they'll risk getting pit maneuvered. So maybe if they stay above a certain speed, I guess, I don't know if the person's really thinking that deeply about it, but maybe, And I guess there's no end game. I wonder if they have a criminal history. Maybe they're worried that this is like a for life. Once they get arrested, it's for life. And it's attempted murder. So the person's not dead that we know of. I don't know what they did. Yeah, I can't imagine the amount of resources and hundreds and hundreds of miles.
You have covered a lot of police pursuits with us. Is this one of the longer ones that you can think of?
It actually is. I mean, there have been a couple that have gone all the way down to San Diego from L.A.
Right.
So we're kind of approaching that same mileage, if you would, so to speak. But yeah, this is very surprising that this suspect is just very content to stay on the freeway and head north on the 215, or the 15 rather, heading toward Vegas.
Yeah,
heading towards Vegas.
Valley area, approaching Victorville.
Appears to be slowing down again, and CHP appears to be closing in just a little bit of distance. And I know we've made a lot of the sun going down and the daylight changing, but we're going to get to a period very shortly in the next few minutes where things get very dark. You're in a pretty remote mountainous region, and it's only going to get more remote from here. Does that change the calculus too, Bruce?
Into the desert, yo?
It just makes things more isolated. The fact that you're on a roadway, or a freeway in this case, that is void of lights, void of traffic, void of everything. It's just a very dark desert type of drive area. So it almost makes it easier for law enforcement to follow this person because they're the only vehicle on the road.
And we don't have any information regarding whether this suspect is armed, but we can tell you that this suspect does have a cell phone, because we do know that this suspect did communicate with Ventura County Dispatch, the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, and identified himself. They were able to share that information with the CHP to confirm that this was indeed an attempted murder suspect. We don't know exactly if any communication has taken place after that first phone call.
Murder, that's nothing. California, they let you walk out the next day.
To use the phone, but we do know, and Bruce, you can speak to this a little bit, that there is technology that law enforcement has that they are able to track cell phones, and that I'm sure has been helpful in this investigation.
Yeah, the technology is there. Whether they have to get a warrant to do that, to speak, that's kind of where it gets a little more dicey, so to speak. You now have to track the phone via cell towers. But they're already doing that with the vehicle. Most vehicles now have the SOS systems, or, if you need help, you press a button, or OnStar, those type of things. So they've probably been in contact with the vehicle manufacturer or a Subaru type center in order to track this vehicle.
Now, we've seen this driver in just the last minute or so try and speed up and then slow down significantly. To me, that indicates that, something, maybe they're getting low on fuel, or perhaps they're losing control of the car a little bit more so. You know a lot about this, Bruce. What do you think might be going on there?
All the possibilities are open in this case. It could be driver fatigue, too. This person's been driving for a while now. They're very intent on trying to get away from law enforcement. So they're very fixated on the roadway in front of them, thinking, are there more spike strips out there? So they may just be tired, but it could be, to your point, there's other issues also.
But Bruce, when you bring up trying to get away from CHP officers in all the pursuits that we cover, this one strikes me as this driver has not really tried to get away, not going incredibly fast, not erratic behavior, not getting off the freeway. This
out of sight, out of mind.
They're cornered. They have been, they've been dealing with spike strip situations 4 times. Against that, again, that 4th time was successful. So at this point, it seems as though we have not seen, or maybe the car can just not go any faster because it's lost that left tire. What do you think?
It's a great possibility. We know we are seeing the driver slow down drastically now. Maybe there is some mechanical issues with the vehicle. Maybe they're running out of fuel, or maybe they just are on the phone saying, hey, I want to give up. What do I need to do? What can I do?
We do want to point out that we passed the Cajon Pass, past the Cajon Junction. As you can see, I don't know if Air 7 can zoom out a little bit, but we're in a more populated area now, Hesperia, Victorville. You're seeing more businesses. That looks like sort of a mini golf place, possibly. You're seeing more warehouses and more drivers. That traffic continuing southbound, but not northbound. Any cars out in front of it seem to be slowing. I don't know if that's a CHP.
Pulled over. No, it appears to be just some sort of civilian car to me. But again, this car just hugging the center lane for the good duration of this pursuit that began up in Ventura County sometime in the 5 o'clock hour. Nearly more than 2.5 hours ago, Ventura County Sheriff's deputies tried to pull this car over, and you can see how that went. That person did not stop and has not stopped since. After that car got on the 101 freeway south and has led them on a pursuit for over 100 miles now. At some point, this person inside the vehicle called Ventura County Sheriff's deputies and had an extended conversation. During that time, deputies were able to learn that this person is somehow wanted for an attempted murder. It appears, based on what we've been able to see, that this driver, this male driver, is the only person inside the vehicle. But we don't know that for sure because we've not been able to get good eyes inside this black Subaru SUV that they have been pursuing since before 6 o'clock tonight.
And that is something that CHP may know based on the conversation that this driver, the suspect, had with law enforcement. But yeah, this pursuit just continuing now in the Apple Valley, approaching Victorville area, and at this point we don't know what the traffic violation was for, but we can confirm attempted murder suspect, which is why the CHP is approaching this pursuit the way that they have. And this person, you know, has only changed freeways when they've had to.
Correct.
And that's something that I think that's been interesting about this.
And they've been able to evade nearly 4 spike stripped attempts, and I say nearly because the last one was successful. The fourth one was successful in some capacity because we watched one of the tires on the vehicle come flying off a few minutes after that. The person did try and avoid it, wasn't entirely successful, but clearly it has not impaired their travel much because they've been traveling for a good distance since that happens. It appears as though they've picked speed back up again, now in the 40-mile-per-hour range. But for most of this pursuit, they've been traveling about 60, 65, no more than 90 miles per hour, and that was about an hour and a half ago when things were much more populated. So this driver seems very content to continue to evade officers and try and run out the clock. And Bruce, as you've mentioned to us, CHP is not about to give up on this. They may be strained resource-wise, but they are not giving up.
No, that's correct. They're not going to. They're going to maintain this pursuit and go as long as it goes. If it goes all the way to the state line, I'm sure they've already been in contact with Nevada authorities, Nevada Highway Patrol, to say, hey, we got a pursuit that possibly can come your way, and they will hand it over to Nevada Highway Patrol.
And so that, as far as California Highway Patrol goes, then, and I can't believe we have to discuss this because we've been on it this long, but if it does in fact make it to the state line, that's where California Highway Patrol stops and another law enforcement agency picks it up?
And this vehicle would have to travel 144 more miles to make it to Primm, Nevada.
Which is surely what this person has driven at this point anyway, given that this began in Ventura County. Is that roughly what you would guess, Bruce?
Yeah, they're going to they will hand it off to the other agency in Nevada, because they're familiar with Nevada roads and that area, whereas California CHP is not. And that's kind of where California CHP, where their jurisdiction ends. They do work in conjunction with Nevada Highway Patrol, so they're very familiar with each other. But, yeah, they're definitely going to hand it off.
And we've just been watching this for the better part of an hour and a half, going on 2 hours at this point, most of the time with you, Bruce. And like we've said, we hate to use the term safe when you're talking about police pursuing an attempted murder suspect. But given the charges that are involved here, or at least the suspected charges, this has not been something that's put the greater public in a whole lot of danger on this holiday.
No, one of the things that both of you have been commenting on is the lack of traffic on the 15th. I mean, we've seen southbound traffic headed back to L.A. from Vegas or wherever they were from, but as far as northbound traffic, it's almost been non-existent.
What are you curious about? Because we have just minutes left of fuel left in Air 7, which is just remarkable that this person has been able to run out the tank of a helicopter that's been following them for 3 counties at this point. But what will you be wondering when we no longer have eyes on this pursuit?
At the terminus of the pursuit at the end, how it comes to fruition, and really what was this person really wanted for, and was it good information that the law enforcement agencies had on this person, and, you know, basically, what are we chasing?
Yeah, and we can tell you that from Victorville to Barstow, you're looking at about 33 miles, and then you're looking at another 100 miles to the Nevada County line. So, you know, it's hard to believe that this car could make it all the way to Primm, but we've seen crazier things, and we just don't know how much gas this Subaru has. But as Liz pointed out, this car has already traveled over 100 miles.
Speed a little bit?
We actually don't even know the exact location within Ventura County.
Imagine somebody comes meet them to pick them up.
We know that CHP picked it up. We believe Woodland Hills area or somewhere near there on the 101 South, but we don't exactly know you know, where the gas was at in terms of that tank in the Subaru.
And Bruce, this is interesting to me. This is the first vehicle that we've come across in almost the entire time we've been following this SUV that's out in front of the vehicle that doesn't appear to be moving over. Perhaps, I mean, surely at this point they realize what's going on. You can hear the helicopter above you. You can see.
I'm not letting you affect my driving experience. I'm not going to slow down. I'm not going to pull over. I got somewhere to go. I'm not moving out of the way.
What we're seeing right now.
I'm seeing a vehicle driven by somebody that really is just not paying attention to the roadway behind them. Or I hate to say
the window's open. Is his hand? I thought his hand out. His hand's out?
And that's why you
no, is his hand out of the window?
With the night sun trying to warn them and say, hey, get out of the way.
And now they're shifting over.
That's what I'm saying.
It looks like. But yeah, either that driver was not aware.
Why are they spotlighting him
because of course they're driving, so but they didn't see the police lights in the distance behind them, and then at the same time, we've seen situations, Bruce, where other vehicles on the road try and get involved.
You ever have somebody beep behind you?
I'm not saying that.
The light just turned. I'm not speeding up. I'm not getting out of the way. I'm taking my time. Why am I rushing at it? You're not gonna make me move.
You know, tried to take matters into their own hand, which I know is something that CHP never wants to happen.
He's just casually driving too. Another one, SSRI.
And a couple of cases coming to point where people have actually got out in the middle of the roadway and thrown stuff at the vehicle to try to slow it down or stop it.
Hey, Mr. Tire.
These are all things we obviously don't want to see.
We need a Mr. Tire. For those of you that don't know, there was a chase one time where this guy had Mr. Tire on the side of his car. He intervened. He was a vigilante and started intervening and cutting off the person that was involved in the chase while the cops were trying to pursue the suspect. It was so crazy. A vigilante.
Gaining any speed on that. So it gives you an idea of how slow that car is going, that this SUV didn't pull out of the way and this car has not come anywhere close to it. So this vehicle is probably just, in the 40-mile-per-hour range like it was before. It's incredible to me, Bruce, that this car is able to maintain the speed that it is, given, 30 minutes ago or so, that tire came flying off the vehicle.
Yeah, we saw a tire come off. It was not an imagination.
We sure did.
And why it's not on the rim and why it's not having mechanical issues or, seeing the sparks that we've talked about, it's kind of foreign to me, but it just maybe goes to the point of how well built these vehicles are.
Right. We're seeing more people parked on the overpass watching this pursuit. Finally, we are seeing that Toyota 4Runner that was about 50 feet in front of the Subaru pull off the freeway. So that's some good news, not getting involved at all in this pursuit, just deciding to exit. And once again, this Subaru has an wide open freeway, no other vehicles. I'm actually seeing...
They might be after him. Are they after him? They're going to pull him over?
And the distance is getting off as well.
They didn't do nothing wrong.
Clear. Not as many. Oh, looks like that car
is
possibly going to have a conversation with that. But I will say we're not seeing as many California Highway Patrol cars in pursuit the deeper we get into San Bernardino County. We, at one point, saw 6 to 12 cars. Right now, it looks like there's only 4 or 5 that are really trailing this Subaru. What do you make of that, Bruce?
Yeah, as you say, it's definitely been scaled back to 4 or 5. You have a primary, a secondary, a third vehicle, which is probably a supervisor, and then you have maybe 1 or 2 left over to provide traffic control and a traffic break as they have the terminus or the felony stop taking place. But it will also be resources out in that high desert area where they just don't have that many CHP officers on duty today as it being a holiday.
Right, and I'm not sure if this is the same Subaru we were following before, because it appears as though both headlights are now back on this vehicle. And very clearly we saw earlier, Bruce, that there was just one headlight on this vehicle.
And I'm not sure if you have the ability in that car to only have one of your headlights on and the other one off. We thought that it was just out, but it does look like...
Our director was saying it was the daytime running light that was out before. And regardless, there was a change in the headlight or lighting situation from the vehicle.
Same vehicle in pursuit right now that we're watching, and we can tell you that for quite some time, traveling at 4 miles per hour, we were in the Hesperia area, but this pursuit is now in Victorville on the 15 North. 30 miles north of Victorville, of course, is Barstow, and then another 100 miles to the California-Nevada state line.
And just to give you an idea that we noticed the small change in the headlight lighting situation, that's how closely we've been watching this pursuit for about 2 hours now, as this car has continued to evade California Highway Patrol, first in Ventura County, then all the way through Los Angeles County into the San Gabriel Valley, and picked it up 15 north. And this car, I mean, has to have been driving for probably 150 miles at this point. We don't know how much fuel was in this vehicle when this all began. This was a traffic stop that this person did not comply with in Ventura County and has not stopped ever since. We believe that one of the tires may have been impaired by one of the spike strips that was thrown down, one of 4 spike strips thrown down by CHP over the last 2 hours or so.
Yeah, we can tell you this pursuit started over 2 hours ago, possibly, we believe 2 hours and 15 minutes ago. We have been on the air since 6 p.m. We're approaching the 8 p.m. hour, and Air 7 is low on fuel, so we will not be able to
I guess
stay
those
with
were the
this
daylight
much longer. But just to wrap up, started as a traffic violation in Ventura County, then traveled 101 south into LA County, then into San Bernardino County, and we are now deep into San Bernardino County. 4 spike strip attempt. That final attempt was successful. The car now on the 15
mystical
north
happening
in the Victorville area.
And this person is now well on their way to the California-Nevada state line at this point. Air 7 is going to have to break away to refuel at this point. We are going to continue monitoring this situation as quickly as we can. We'll bring you the very latest on exactly what happens and any possible conclusion to this situation later tonight on Eyewitness News at 11, along with all of the other big breaking news of the day. You have been watching this continuous coverage of police pursuit through Southern California. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Liz Nagy.
And I'm Josh Haskell. Stay with us for the latest.
All right, I got CBS is still left. There's the last one. I guess, let's see.
This has gone over.
This is the only problem, is when these chases last a certain amount of time and they start going really, really far. The problem is these choppers have to refuel. Usually for me, like in my head, once we hit like the 2 hour mark, is usually like they're going to probably have to start heading back, you know?
Tell if there was another person maybe in that vehicle where we could tell they had somebody with them, but the tint is just too dark. It's too difficult to tell, even from the windshield angle, whether this guy is alone or this person is alone or has somebody in there. But, you know, we were talking to a retired police sergeant earlier and kind of stepping through how they meet these kind of situations. We did see at one point, I can't remember, it must have been around, 7:30 or so, they did try to lay some spike strips out at one point, and the guy was just, able to evade around where the CHP officer was trying to throw that spike.
And part of that might have been just because the freeway is so wide. So, it was easy, it's a sort of easily avoidable situation for the driver, for the suspect to move out of the way. But to that point, and we haven't confirmed this yet, but it is, of course, a question as to why the car is much slower now, whether or not there was something with the tire, at least on the driver's side. That was something brought to our attention a little bit earlier, and that could perhaps be why this vehicle is moving so much slower than it was before, because it was pushing 65 to sometimes 75 miles per hour, going at roughly the speed limit of what the flow of traffic would be at a freeway, on top of the fact that there really hasn't been any traffic at all.
That's been another
in this
remarkable
entire
part of this.
stretch.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just now joining us, you are seeing some stuff on the right-hand side of your screen from earlier this evening. And yeah, I mean, look at that wide open freeway. How often do you see that in, our area? It is rare, but it's given this guy a lot of room to just continue at the same consistent pace with the same consistent strategy of just staying above those CHP lights, but certainly not backing down, not, even if slowing down, certainly not coming to a stop.
No, not at all. And really, the dynamic changes just a little bit. Obviously, when the sun sets and it's dark, you have the light overhead to at least maintain sight of the suspect, and then CHP is directly behind with their lights and everything, and traffic seems to have really cleared out. It's already been mostly clear throughout the evening. So if anybody were to kind of get in the way, and we've seen this throughout the course of the night, they already veer off and pull over the shoulder and really get out of the way. There's not too much of a dynamic when it comes to running into some folks. But once again, on the 15 northbound in the Victorville, Hesperia area, I mean, just to highlight how far we've really gone. I mean, insane, over 100 miles in just the last couple of hours when we first broke in. But
there's a chopper here hanging back.
I was saying earlier how it would be fair to sort of, at least what some viewers have pointed out, is that it's been a bit boring within the dynamic of what the pursuit has been, because it's just on the freeway the entire time. But despite that word, it is still incredibly dangerous. And that's why, obviously, CHP taking it so seriously, in that they really haven't let up at all.
It's an interesting point, too, to make, is that, like, at this point, we don't know what else CHP has found out along the way about this person in
like
the
a
car.
terrorist or
If
something?
maybe
A
they
sleeper
were
cell?
being given information
Does he have
that
a
would
bomb in the car or
allude to
something?
the fact that this person would be more dangerous.
Wow.
That could be why they are being so, pulled back and not doing any kind of aggressive pit maneuvers or any more attempts at those
Maybe they know
strips.
something.
Obviously, when the sun
Maybe
sets
they
and
know
things
something.
get dark, changes the dynamic in the approach as well. But you have to wonder if there is more to this story than just the evading or the traffic violation, which is where this all started. If there's more to this, if they want this guy now for a different reason, obviously, the longer it goes on, the harder he makes this for himself when he begins to, turn himself in, that this is going to be just one thing after another in terms of charges against him, how much trouble he's going to get.
The dynamic, it's just, at this point, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of gas. And if we're basing this off just the behavior we've seen over the last couple of hours, that's really all there is, because there have been plenty of opportunities to get off on an exit and jump onto surface streets or neighborhoods, really anything that feels a little bit smaller and more familiar, because we've seen that so often over the course of other pursuits. Now, we are also being told that at some point here, perhaps in the next few minutes, SkyCal is going to have to pull off because of darkness in the desert. We made that note a couple minutes ago as well, because safety is obviously first, and the dynamic really changes, not just for the suspect and for pursuing officers, but for us as well. In order to maximize our safety and handle that, we might have to pull back here in just a second. So keep an eye on that. But of course, as a newsroom, we're going to be keeping an eye on everything, because this is not stopping right now.
This isn't over. So we're going to track it for you, try to figure out all of those questions that we have right now about what exactly is going on here, how long it's going to go on for. So
that was pretty good, though. You can zoom in that far.
For safety reasons, of course, we will continue to keep you updated on this pursuit, not only here on TV. If we can't do that, we'll, of course, bring it to you online, keeping you updated on those details. But again, a very now slow speed pursuit that has lasted for 100+ hours. Started in Thousand Oaks, now has made it to Victorville, Hesperia area. Still a lot to figure out about this one.
Over 100 miles and no
resolution.
No resolution as of yet.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't think it was going to last.
And with that,
long.
we do want to welcome you into CBS LA at 8 on KCAL 9. I'm Gio Insignares.
And I'm Hunter Sowards. In for Leslie Marine tonight. We're streaming live on CBS News Los Angeles. While we have the service and while we have the ability to, we want to go back out to that pursuit and show you what we've been watching now for the last couple of hours. If you can believe it, a pursuit that started in Thousand Oaks, as we just said, and has now reached as far as Victorville. You see just how many CHP officers are out there pursuing this one vehicle, wanted for a traffic violation, which then became obviously evading officers. But the speeds have, even though they're slow right now, never really got too crazy. Never really went over 75 miles an hour.
Maybe that's the way to do it.
Of when this guy was trying to take off.
And we've also been seeing what you'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen, another CHP cruiser coming in off of the exit. These handoffs have been rather efficient throughout the entire evening. You notice video on the right side of your screen from earlier. This was the only point throughout the course of the night that we were watching where right here you see one cruiser parallel with the suspect on top of another CHP cruiser directly behind, and we were wondering out loud whether or not that was an opportunity for them to maybe try and coax them off on an exit ramp and maybe get them off of the freeway, but nothing of the like. This was also a time where they tried to initiate a spike strip, didn't work as well, but we'll continue to keep an eye on this pursuit, and we'll keep you posted on any new developments as they happen. In the meantime, more breaking news tonight. Children stumbling upon possible human remains.
That's pretty crazy. For Easter, stumbling upon, holy moly. So that's I can put scanner. That's it for the news station helicopters. Let me see if this guy, that's unfortunate. I had a feeling this was going to happen. It's happened to us a couple of times where like the choppers just have to go back. Let me see if they're saying anything on the scanner. I think it's a scanner he had, LA Captain, Pursuit. Damn, man. That could be the end of the chase. I mean, as far as live feed. See, they have to turn back because look how far they came out.
8923, starting miles.
San Gabriel Valley Airport. So this.
Copy. Just for info, your PV patrol vehicle is going to have a VO repeater. Do I have a SAM unit that copy? Patrol vehicle 161893, starting mileage 41836, ID 23449. Their time is 20:03. Adam 20261, log 2204.
And it started in Ventura, all the way over here somewhere. Where's Ventura at? Ventura is, I know it's to the left somewhere, west. Los Angeles. I don't know, I forget where I was. Yes, I don't know where it's at. I know it's somewhere along the side. Around here, Bavaria. Started over there, and then they went all the way across over here, up into the mountains. It's so crazy how far they've gone. There was a lot of opportunities to stop this person, but maybe they know something. Obviously, we don't know. Some type of danger. I don't know. Maybe they got a bomb or something. I don't know. And imagine it start coming back. Look, the chopper's turning around. San Bernardino's turning around for some reason. Or are they circling? Did the car stop? Sometimes when they start circling, it's like the car stopped or something's happening. I wonder if the station would even be the same. The scanner would even. It's probably not the same anymore. Because they're all the way out by like Victorville. Is that San Bernardino? Let me listen to San Bernardino. Let's see. Oh, maybe it's right here. Inland CHP. Let's listen over here. San Bernardino. No choppers besides San Bernardino. This Barstow coming up. Barstow Heights. It's incredible because that car has no... He pulled over and changing his spare. Imagine he had the time he pulls over, the cops get out of their car pointing guns, and the person just takes their time. I feel like I would hope they'd rush him. And they just start putting on a spare. This looks like something I don't know. I wonder if something's going on because they're circling.
Any request from 2728 re-ID? Go ahead. For the log, 29 at Lincoln Ocean Mary, 165, break for 27. 23, I copy that. 9 Lincoln Ocean Mary.
Could just be going really slow. Fox
23, 27 of Union, 1011151.
There's not any news station that's going to have it right now because we're looking at right now this is flight radar. The only chopper there is San Bernardino. So there's not going to be a news chopper. We would see if there was a news chopper there. I'm looking at Fox 11 right now, though. There's nothing there.
23, just for info, your 29 is clear. Current 2024 Hyundai Utility Class 41365 to Alaska, Flores, out of Fontana.
I don't hear anything related on the scanner chat either.
And 27 is Alaska, Flores, first assignment out of Fontana. Class non-commercial license status valid with no tires.
Well, they had... Oh, no. They 4 minutes ago, they posted a 3-minute clip. That's all they posted a clip. Fox 11.
Informational units 23-152, last name South 115, South Magnolia. It's going to be a white Chevrolet Tahoe with a plate of 9 Mary Boy Sam 033. Was pulled over to the right-hand shoulder, then continued on, tailgating and unable to maintain 29 is clear, 2007 Chevrolet Utility out of Pomona. No further KDC 272 clear at 2006.
People might be confused because on their YouTube page, they posted a short 3-minute video. But if there was any choppers there, you would literally see it over here on this radar, on this flight radar. The only chopper is San Bernardino right now. Wonder if the cars slow down a little bit. Well, they've looped a few times, I guess the chopper has, but now they've done it 3 times here, looped. Yeah, if Fox or any other chopper was there, we would see it on here first. That sucks, man. For now, we're not gonna know the outcome, I guess. I don't know how they're still going.
This is victim 1020.
Top feed, MC California, San Bernardino.
He advised he was northbound 15 south of Limonite on the right hand shoulder. 34, on the right shoulder. 34, I copy 97, 91 west surface on the right hand shoulder.
Victor, Vacaville. The hell is Vacaville? Oh, here's Victorville, Barstow. That's what I got here. Anything here? Oh, it's just inland CHP is what everybody's listening to.
Informational units 23152, locking southwest 15, south of Fairly Knox. It's going to be a red Hyundai sedan with a plate of 7 George Robert 787 Corbin 29 clear 2015 Hyundai out of Rialto. No further KDC 272 clear at 21.
Yeah, they're not talking anything about the chase. I know, right? No conclusion. Maybe that's the worst ever. We've had a few like that where just...
10 copies for 1126, you'll be around. Good too. 7440, you can 1042. I'll call and get one.
Yeah.
87 westbound 91 Madison.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Maybe I guess we'll have to see if we get a resolution at some point. Tonight or tomorrow. We could listen to the scanner a little bit, follow the chopper. Ain't nothing coming. Out in the outskirts. Barstow Highway. Number 1 in the world. 3,000 people tracking this helicopter. I used to be told that, like, I don't know if they still do it because I feel like chases are not really as they used to be. But back in the day when they were really popping off, I was told that people would be at the bar watching the chases, having drinks and stuff, kicking back. It was like a sport. People would sit in California, they'd be sitting in the bar, watching the chases, having a drink, eating. My God. Iran and India. I guess that's it. Kind of nothing. Just watching the San Bernardino chopper.
21 negative, go ahead.
CHP had endless opportunities. Am I still live on I've been live this whole time on X. I meant to end it. X doesn't really get much engagement or interactions. I just go live there for a little bit.
21, I copy you. 7 yellow, Green George,
Just to let people know I'm live.
29 clear, expired 2017 Toyota sedan Luxor 4990 to Alaska Domingo out of Riverside.
Crazy, man. Yeah, we might call it. I think we might call it. Is every loop by the chopper getting spot on the car? I'm not sure why they're looping, because they're looping a lot more. Before, I didn't see them looping like this. The only thing I could think is like maybe I don't know. I thought maybe the car slowed down, but it looks like the chopper's still moving kind of fast.
And for Sawyer, 23152, Los Angeles Hospital Canyon in Paramore. It's going to be a white Mercedes E250 and an Adelaide Scorpion, 29.
At some point, I don't know. They got to do something.
Valley, no further KDP, 2014.
Yeah, it says that the inland CHP, but I haven't heard them talk about the chase. This is the scanner audio, but active event police chase. Yeah, that's it, pimpin'. We need somebody on the highway with a live feed. Did you guys see Savannah Guthrie's video today, man? It was kind of intense. It was really intense. They're saying, I don't know, they're saying like she blamed God. I don't know if she really did. She's somebody that's hurt. She's in pain, something. But she was, for what happened to her mother. I was gonna do a Trump live stream, but I didn't think this was gonna run that long. I was gonna talk about what happened today. Maybe we'll leave it for tomorrow because I want to leave everybody in a good mood. Oh, I'm in a good mood. I think most people are in a good mood. I don't want to, bring hell tonight.
Standing here today, I have to tell you, there are moments in which that promise seems irretrievably far away, when life itself seems far harder than death. These moments of deep disappointment with God, the feeling of utter abandonment. For most of us, there will come a time in our life when these feelings hold sway. In my own season of trial, I have wondered. I have questioned whether Jesus really ever experienced this particular wound that I feel, this grievous and uniquely cruel injury of not knowing, of uncertainty and confusion, and answers withheld. In those darkest moments, I have thought, bitterly and perhaps irreverently, that I have stumbled upon a feeling that Jesus did not know. Standing.
I know, that's pretty deep. Some people were upset. Some people were really upset about that. I think she's just hurt. She's supposedly a religious person. I think it's probably not a crazy thing to question, maybe, when you go through something horrible like that. I don't know. I've never been through a loss like that yet. But it was kind of like to even say that, like, a pain that Jesus never felt. I was like, damn, bro. Holy shit. It's kind of Everybody's pissed today. Between Trump and then Savannah. Oh man, what's going on?
7421, you have a 1039 to auto aid.
That was pretty deep. The only thing I could think is I guess she's like really hurt. You know, I don't know. She's really hurt, upset, going through some stuff. So, you know, obviously, I guess.
7445, 20001, Day in Cajalco.
It's like if your kid were to die from cancer or something, you know, you probably start questioning life and religion and God and everything.
7445, 20001, Day in Cajalco. It's going to be vehicle versus head. Suspect vehicle is going to be a white Ford F-150 with an unknown plate. Hit a pedestrian on a bike.
Yeah, they're not talking.
Now up and walking, but still requesting medical.
They're not talking anything about the chase on the scanner. So I guess that's it, man. Because there's nothing else. Like there's no well, there's a chopper here. Who's this? Oh, that's a that has nothing to do with it then. That's a medical chopper. Okay. Yeah, I mean they're out in the desert. There is no other news station choppers. There's no feed, and the scanner is not saying anything. So I guess we'll just have to follow back up. Yeah, that's the inland. That's the inland CHP scanner. I don't know if there's a different one. Because right now they're by where they're at. They're coming up to Barstow right now. Barstow Heights. Let's see. Victorville. There's okay, Barstow. 19 feet for Barstow. In Barstow, though, everybody's listening to the inland CHP. That's the thing. Maybe that's the same thing they use. And then there's a county fire, but that's not going to be related. San Bernardino County Fire and EMS South Desert. No, I think that's it. A new chopper is heading that way. Look down. Da-na-na-na. That's another medical chopper. Mercy Air. And the other chopper, the news choppers that were there, they're still flying back. They still haven't even made it back yet. Oh, this is one of the other San Bernardino choppers that's heading back because they had to swap out. And then they had another chopper from Victorville area, I guess, pick up the chase for San Bernardino County. And then this is a medical. So yeah, there's nothing in the area. They were not caught, no. I don't know how they're still going. You won't be able to find radio traffic because they're on a special TAC channel. Oh, okay. Thank you, Avoid Chase. That makes sense. Because earlier we could hear a little bit, I think, when it was like LA, but now there's literally nothing. There's no conversation at all that you could hear about anything with the chase. They're talking about everything else but the chase. Yeah, it's crazy. What application? Well, this is just flightradar.com for the flight tracker, and then the scanner is Broadcastify. For the computer, I like Broadcastify.com. For my mobile device, I like I think it's just called Police Scanner or something. Let's see, what is this? Scanner Radio. For my mobile device, there's something called Scanner Radio. It's not available for computer. So if you're on the computer, Broadcastify. If you're on mobile, Scanner Radio. It's pretty good. You can even listen to it in your car. James Bond. Why can't they get one person, one car on 3 wheels? Why can't they get this person? crazy. Oh boy. Damn. This guy said, Zoran Mandami praising Jesus, Donald Trump praising Allah. Easter 2026. Oh, Lord. Lord, man. Allah. There's a lot of people upset about the Trump thing. I guess we'll cover it tomorrow. If there's nothing happening tomorrow, we'll cover it, I guess, and go over it. I saw people on X either upset about the Trump thing or upset about Savannah. I saw a lot of mixed feelings about Savannah too and what she said, you know. Some people were like offended and stuff. I wouldn't take too much, like from somebody that's dealing with something like that. I wouldn't take, you know, I personally wouldn't like take something too much to heart when they're dealing with something. I don't know what that's like, you know. All right, guys. I guess that's it. I guess we should hop out then. Yo, for sure. Trump, I think he was trolling. What somebody told me too is like sometimes he says some wild shit to try to see if he can make these people negotiate, because supposedly now I saw that there's some type of ceasefire talk. I don't even know if that's true. Honestly, it's like you look at X now and you can't even tell what's true and what's not. Like you have to double, triple, and quadruple check everything. There's like so much fake stuff and everything's like, so Axios is reporting that there's like a 45-day potential ceasefire. So I don't know if, you know, Trump wilding out. He's like, this is part of the deal. You know what I'm saying? Like part of the deal and shit. Negotiating. Supposedly there's talks about 45-day ceasefire. Sources said the chances for a deal in the next 48 hours are slim though. Ooh, damn. I don't know. I really don't know. And there was talks, would it be considered a war crime if the power plant day and bridge day, which I have to look into that. I was reading a little bit about that, and I guess it's not so open and cut. It depends what it's being used for, those facilities, and is it mostly civilian or is it mostly military? You know, I don't know, proportionality. It's all this weird stuff. Let's see, what are they doing here? Something happened here. I think.
74 S8 Rancho.
I know.
74 S8. I have an uncovered pedestrian westbound 91 east of Auto Center.
Something might be happening here the way this chopper is.
S8 copies. And just be advised, he's going to be on the right-hand shoulder. It looks like he's climbing up and down the gate.
Are they talking about this person or somebody else?
I copy. You'll be clearing shortly and you'll handle.
Moving forward. Oh yeah, no, maybe I wonder if this is the end or the car stopped. I wonder if is there traffic cams? The traffic cams in this highway? Barstow. Drive freeway.
421. 7421.
there is an engine off ramp.
Cameras. I don't know. I'm gonna look and see if I can see some Barstow cameras. Oh, there's none. No traffic cameras in this region. Damn. Okay. Well, there's weather cameras, I think.
7421, I copy a witness observed the suspect driver around the Ono parking lot. Just north of the Mangwin, you'll be en route to check the area. The Toyota Corolla is going to be on the right hand shoulder to the hill of 85.
Check the area for possible suspect where you see off.
23, I copy you already checked the area for a possible suspect. You were used off.
The chopper way south, heading further south. No choppers in the area besides this guy here.
73 South Victorville, southbound for Cajon, 4000.
I wonder if there's any news broadcasters like tweeting out or something. Usually circles like that kind of indicate like the end of a chase. And now he's heading back. I wish I knew what happened there. What's going on? Did they arrest him? Code 4? Usually from the chase OGs. Pupscan, man. Pupscan doesn't do the chases anymore. Hope he's doing good. From the chase OGs, usually those circling around, it's over. Like usually the person's arrested. Something must have happened. Or yeah, because I think if it was a standoff, the chopper would probably stay there. Out of gas? Maybe they ran out of gas.
7445, I copy 97 days to Halco.
Damn, that's all we got is some green lines in a circle for the end of the chase. Wow. That is crazy, man. Like you want to chase and you want it to last, but if it's too long and it's like, oh, you know. But if they stayed local, there's chances that maybe, maybe another chopper could have came, could have refueled, even though refueling takes a while too, though. That is crazy, man. Breaking U.S., Iran, and group of mediators are discussing potential 45-day ceasefire. Yeah, we just talked about that.
34, vehicle info 98.
Let's see what happens. You guys saw what was so crazy because Trump was like, open the effing Strait of Hormuz. Like he was like cursing earlier today. And this account, I don't even know if this a real account. In Iran embassy in Zimbabwe, the post went viral, like 4 million something views. I know this is Harry Sisson, which I don't want to take him with anything, but I bookmarked it. Let me get the source. Get Harry Sisson. I bookmarked it somewhere. I did see that account earlier, and they were talking about we lost the keys because he said open the home. Oh, here we go. I bookmarked it. Usually the government pages, they have like a gray thing. I don't know what page this is. 34K, public and social services. I mean, it could be a legit account. I don't know. Usually government accounts, they have the gray check. But he said we lost the keys. He was talking about Trump.
34, just for info, Dukes are also putting him on the southbound 71 now.
It was a mess today. On Jesus Day. No, it's over. All right, well, I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. I hope you guys have a good night. If something breaking crazy happens, I'll jump back on. Today was like kind of like a quiet day. It was like peaceful. I stayed home. I had a little activities. We had activities for my daughter. It was like we just had fun. Did the Easter hunt thing or whatever. We painted eggs. I got my daughter a Kindle, which was a really great idea and a present. And she likes reading. She's on that tab, and it's like a tablet, but it's just for books. She's reading all these kid books and stuff. Better to be on that than the tablet. She likes it. Got her a Kindle, like a Kindle Color kids one. It was a really nice day, super chill, beautiful weather in South Florida. I was watching the Trump shit, kind of laughing and like, oh my God, this is getting crazy because a lot of people reacted. They were upset. People like, oh my gosh, everybody, even Stephen, what's his name? Steve A. Miller. Is that his name? Stephen Miller? Stephen A. Smith. Even Stephen A. Smith. Everybody is pissed. Everybody. I was like, oh my God, bro. Everybody's pissed.
Done to America. Look, I ain't no damn supporter of Iran, okay? Leading sponsor of terrorism, all of that.
He has like a filter on or something.
Stuff they want to do to Israel, stuff they've already done to America. I ain't no supporter of that, but you're the president of the United States. And you go on social media with a profanity-laced tirade, and then you going to end it by saying, praise be to Allah.
That was the most gangster part, I thought.
How do you think that's going to help us? How do you think that's...
People don't understand this first. If you're going to be concerned about anything, in my opinion, it's this first sentence. Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped in one in Iran. That is the biggest takeaway, not that he cursed. I get it's it's Easter, the resurrection. And so, some people, and people, formalities is the president, but we all know how Trump is, so the biggest line is this top part. It's the escalation. That's the thing. It's not that he cursed and said the F word or that he said praise Allah and he's trolling. But I don't think, because when I first read this, I'm telling you, this kind of flew over my head too. I didn't understand this. Oh, plant day. Okay, gardening or some shit? No. They're talking about targeting plants, like facilities, like electric places, like it could affect civilians, bridges. It depends. I don't know exactly what targets, and I have to read up on this, but but everybody was pissed today. Piers Morgan was pissed. Piers Morgan was called it out too. So you love your Kindle reader? Yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. Just lock it down with parental control. So you can get online with. Oh, I didn't know that, JB. Okay, thank you for telling me. I didn't know that. I gotta check it out. I thought the Kindle was just the app. I did put the kids thing on there, but I don't know. Yeah, I need to look into that. Because you don't know these kids these days, the internet and stuff. So, but all right, guys, man. I hope you guys have a good night. Be safe. Take care. All right. Peace. Bye. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah, I took it as like it was mockery. Yeah. Oh, Alex Jones too. I had Alex Jones. Alex Jones is pissed. I had a clip for that too. Alex was oof. Yeah, everybody was freaking mad today. I was like, oh shit. All right. Crash reported on Google Maps for Chase Chopper and location. What? Fox Live?
Backs out there, and I think when you see his personality, both on and off the field, I think he'll
that was
really
like earlier.
be.
That was an hour ago. Okay. Google Maps is saying crash. I don't see anything in Google Maps. Oh, chase. Which what says crash? I guess a car crash. Maybe that's probably for the chase. Yeah. All right, guys. Good night. Bye.